WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios, where somebody broke the microphone in here. Who broke it? I need to know. Frazier, I'm looking at you in the back. I know you taught me all about that ice cream maker that I love so much, but you guys, who did it? Who broke the microphone in here? I need to know.
One of the Joes, we think.
He's saying Big Joe. How did Big Joe break the microphone? Frazier, get on the mic. How did Big Joe break the microphone in here?
It honestly was incidental. It wasn't on purpose. I think he went to go grab it, and it fell off of the arm, and then the arm just didn't work properly. It was all a blur at one point, but I think it might have been Big Joe.
Sounds kind of like bullcrap, Frazier. I'm just saying. Anywho. How are you today, Ian?
I'm great. How are you?
Outstanding. Okay. So normally, a lot of people seem to think that this show is just riddled with conspiracy theories and hot takes and innuendo and all kinds of things. We'll be talking about something that I think is a big deal or something that should be kind of obvious. And it's like, oh, there goes Jared Stillman again. I mean, I'll tell you, Jared Stillman says. So last week on Friday, the Boston Globe comes out with the report that Robert Kraft wants to hire Mike Vrabel. And everybody has talked about this in some vicinity or another or some capacity. But I hear all this, oh, that's not a big deal. That doesn't matter. Yesterday, somebody texted in and said, Jared, you're living in fantasy land. And I'm like, again, it's the Boston Globe. It's not TMZ. It's not the Huffington Post. It's not a message board. I mean, it's the Boston Globe. When it comes to newspapers in America, there is, in whatever order you want to rank them at the top, there's USA Today, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, and the Boston Globe, at least on the eastern part of the United States. But no, Jared Stillman's talking about it, so it must not be a big deal. Then Charles Robinson, Yahoo Sports senior NFL insider, goes on Robbie and Joe every week. He was asked, hey, Charles, you buy this at all? You think this is a big deal? What do you make of it? Here's what Charles Robinson said.
I think there's truth to that. Absolutely. Like, I really think that, and again, I've said this before, I don't have this close personal relationship with Mike Vrabel. I don't. But I can tell you, particularly talking to people in New England and individuals that have come out of New England and ended up working elsewhere. I've had a number of conversations about Belichick and like what's going on there right now and the viability of him not being there next year and another coach. And you get around to the conversations about, well, who would the candidates be? Like, who on earth would want to follow Belichick? And what everyone tells you is like, look, it's a very Robert and Jonathan Kraft driven list, and they would want someone that they have close familiarity with, that they know someone that is connected to that amount of success that they've had under Bill. And Mike's name comes up. I will say this, people in the Patriots program, both inside and out, sure seem to think that Kraft is extremely enamored with Mike Vrabel and that they have a very close relationship.
I mean, he's telling you right then and there. You may not want to believe me. You may not believe these anonymous sources in the Boston Globe, but Charles Robinson is telling you they want a guy who's connected to Bill but isn't a failure off the Bill tree, and they want somebody like Mike Vrabel. And when he hears the talk both inside and outside the building the talk is circling around Mike Vrabel. Are you guys going to open your eyes and realize this is legit? Like the New England Patriots, I think they're going to lose to the Colts on Sunday morning in Germany. It is all kinds of bad there. They're going to lose to the Colts. It's over for Belichick long term. They're not going to fire him during the season, and they shouldn't fire him during the season. But it's over long term. He's not going to be the coach there next year. They want Mike Vrabel. And Charles Robinson is telling you, yeah, I believe it. I mean, that's how everybody's talking. So think about this, right? Robert Kraft I also, by the way, love the part in that cut where Charles goes, this is going to be a really Robert Kraft and Jonathan Kraft driven move to replace Bill. No, duh. Who else is going to be in charge of it? Johnny up the hall? They were going to put the senior vice president of marketing in charge of replacing Bill Belichick? Seriously. But again, Robert Kraft is not the kind of guy who doesn't get what he wants. Robert Kraft is rich. Robert Kraft is successful. Robert Kraft traded for his last coach and gave up a first-round pick and won 6 Super Bowls with that coach. So my guess is if Robert Kraft has to trade for a head coach, he won't be afraid to do it because he's already done it. This thing is legit. Now, I think this is a win-win for the Titans. I think this is great for the Titans. And here's why. The Patriots are going after Mike Vrabel. If you want to call it tampering, you can. If you want to theorize, and I'm not, but if you want to theorize that when Vrabel went up there for the Hall of Fame induction, that maybe there was some talking to or whatever it may be, I don't think that's the case, but because I just don't think Vrabel's that stupid and would get himself in trouble with tampering and probably, know about the Patriots and their following of the rules. But I don't think Vrabel's that stupid, so I don't think that, but you can say whatever. If they want Mike Vrabel, that's not a bad thing for you. And it's obvious that they do. Because the first thought I have is, what if Mike Vrabel wants to stay here? Well, that's great. I mean, if I were, again, objectively looking at the two jobs, I think I would lean towards the Titan job, only because, one, I might have a young quarterback with the Titans. Two, I'm not in Boston, which is a much tougher sports market. And three, probably more important, I've already got at least a little bit of success in Nashville. I don't have any success there, and I'd be following the guy. But what if Vrabel wants to stay here? That's great, because that means that you know that Mike Vrabel's looking at it, and he's not thinking that the grass is greener in New England. And then Mike, even though I'm sure he's got issues here, because Mike's the kind of guy who's always going to have complaints about everything wherever he is. But if he decides, I'm not even interested in that, then good. He can commit 100% to Ran Carthon and 100% to Will Levis and 100% to the program that he's a part of that he signed up for. Great. Now, what if Mike Vrabel wants to go? I think it's great. Because then we can start talking first-round picks, and we really want to talk about rebuilding this team and building around Levis and seeing if he's the guy. And then, great. Vrabel wants to go to the Patriots. The Patriots want Vrabel. Now we're talking first-round picks, second-round picks, draft position, draft capital. And then you can turn to Ran Carthon and say, okay, let's see if you can do this. I mean, let's see if you can get the job done. Go bring in a coach. And it's going to be your draft and your board, not roll the dice, play the board because I have to collaborate with the other guy, so we have to agree somehow, so we end up taking a guard with the 11th overall pick. Because I just don't believe in that anyways. So I think this is a win-win. I think it is abundantly clear, and I don't know how many people you need to have tell you this, but the New England Patriots want Mike Vrabel. I am certain of that. I cannot see a scenario where this is bad news for the Titans. If anything, I think it's great news for the Titans. And I can't see any scenario where all of this smoke is not true. Now, there may be a chance that if Vrabel says to Amy, I'd like to go to the Patriots, they're going to be interested. And the way this technically works is the Patriots reach out to the Titans for permission to interview Mike Vrabel. That's how it starts, but you know that that's not exactly how it starts. But if the Patriots reach out and Vrabel tells Amy, yeah, I think I'd like to go, there's a chance that once the Titans sit there and start talking to the Patriots, that Robert Kraft doesn't think that his dream scenario, Mike Vrabel, is worth it as far as the picks and everything else, and he goes with Gerard Mayo, and that's fine because business is business, and that's his business. But there's no way this is bad for the Titans. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not a Zynga blog. This is not made up out of thin air. This is not from Skip Bayless. This is from the Boston Globe. And Charles Robinson, a very well-respected NFL insider, is sitting there and telling you, yeah, I've been hearing the same stuff. They want Mike Vrabel. That's good. That's good. When somebody wants something that you have, that you don't feel the need that you have to get rid of, that's what we call leverage. And leverage is good for business. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in on it. 615-737-1025. I think there's another angle to this, that a lot of your frustrations about talk of Mike Vrabel not being your coach, or a lot of your anxiety about Mike Vrabel not being your coach, where that's coming from. And I do not share the same anxiety as you do. We'll get to that coming up next with your phones as we are rocking and rolling on this Thursday. TD 1 hour from now, as always. And let's talk about a little basketball. Tune into 93.3 Classic Hits tonight for MTSU basketball as they take on Stephen F. Austin tonight at the Murphy Center. Pre-game at 6 o'clock. Tip-off is at 6:30. Coverage also available on the 93.3 Classic app and at 93.3classichits.com.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and last sale of the year is coming November 17th through 19th. It's an extraordinary event with savings of 20, 30, up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets. Nothing's held back for this once-a-year, 3-day store-wide sale. Acclaimed designers will be flying in with expanded collections and special pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes are also included. Lab-grown diamonds, too. Discounts up to 35%. Genesis Diamond, November 17th through 19th only. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
It's time to celebrate this fall and unleash the beast. Monster Brewing proudly presents to you Beast Unleashed. 0 caffeine, 0 sugar, all the adult beverage fun. The Beast is unleashed with great taste, bold familiar flavors, and 6% alcohol. Go wild with Mean Green, White Haze, Peach Perfect, and Scary Berries. Don't fear the Beast. Enjoy Beast Unleashed at your next tailgate or football party. Drink responsibly. Must be 21 and over.
This year, Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee celebrates its 120th anniversary. Through time, BGCMT continues to evolve to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible leaders. Because of your continued support, BGCMT has remained strong and is committed to supporting our youth and solidifying our mission and culture in new exciting ways for 120 years. Visit bgcmt.org today.
Yo, check this out.
Ah, Pourvu. Imagine a wonderland, vast as the eye can see. We're talking a whopping 10,000 square feet, stocked with wine, spirits, and over 1,500 beers from around the globe. And if that's not enough, they've got you covered with a massive horde of ready-to-guzzle cocktails like High Noon.
Well, saddle up, partner. It's Pourvu, the adult equivalent of a candy store. Open from 9 to 9 Monday through Saturday and from 10 to 6 on Sundays, too. Not leaving your sofa during the next big game? No worries, my jersey-wearing couch potato. You can place your orders at pourvu.us or download their super snazzy app.
Just picture hockey night. He shoots, he scores, we toast.
We're talking about a good old round of tequila shots, of course.
Tequila!
Pourvu has it all. Tequila is always a big hit, just like Uncle Frank at the family parties.
Wine, spirits, beers, mixers, barware, gifts, party supplies, and more.
Curbside pickup at absolutely zero charge, mind you, and home delivery.
Indian Lake Boulevard in Hendersonville, just off Vietnam Vets, exit 7.
Pourvu. It's all Frenchy and fancy, meaning for you.
Score!
Get
ready to dig into the future of construction. Look no further than Parman Tractor and Equipment. They've got the power and precision you need with link belt excavators, where red means go. Whether you're looking to rent or buy, link belt excavators are known for reliability and performance. When you see that red and gray machine on the job site, you know it's time to get things done. Parman Tractor's team offers unparalleled service. Visit ParmanTractor.com and get in the dirt with employee owners of Parman, where red means go. Don't miss out on totally outrageous customer service.
Tap that app. Download the Game Nashville app on your smartphone so you can listen to Stillman and Company on the go.
This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
In terms of like the question with Amy, I don't know. That all comes down to having a personal conversation between an owner and a coach, and knowing what does the coach want. And then, I think before you even get to the idea of compensation, you have to have, if there's the shared mutual respect between the two, you just have to know, what does your head coach want? Like, does your head coach want to be here? Does he want to continue on with this program? Does he works for both of them moving forward and for the owner? And, do you believe in the quarterback? There's all these different questions you have to ask. And if Mike were to say, hey, I think it's kind of run its course here, no bad feelings, but maybe we can figure out a way to, part company and it be okay. At that point, if you're Amy and you're Mike and you have that conversation, then Amy turns to Rand and she says, okay, let's figure out what the draft compensation should be for a guy like this.
There you go. That was Charles Robinson on Robbie and Joe this morning. And again, this is real talk in the NFL. Now, I think there's a lot of anxiety when it comes to trading away Mike Vrabel. By the way, trading away Mike Vrabel is not the same as firing Mike Vrabel. Firing Mike Vrabel means, you call him into the office, Vrabel, you're fired. Pack up your bags. We've already got someone cleaning out your office. HR will contact you and see you. We'll send you checks along the way. It is much different than the New England Patriots are desperate to have you. Now let's talk about how many first-round picks I can extract in order to give you up and go get somebody else. Now, the one thing that I like, this all excites me. I don't know about you guys. This excites me, the idea of the Patriots wanting Mike Vrabel, because it excites me that the Titans could actually end up getting massively important draft capital. And not, again, we need 5th round and 6th round pick draft capital. I'm talking first round picks here. But also, I'm not afraid to lose Mike Vrabel. I think Vrabel's a good coach. I don't think Vrabel is an unbelievable coach that you can't do without. For starters, Will Levis, your quarterback, ran Mike Shanahan's offense in college under Liam Cohen, who came from Sean McVay, and then Rich Scangarello, who came from Kyle Shanahan. So if you lose Vrabel, where do you think Rand Carthon is going to look for a coach from? He's going right up the Shanahan tree, which, quite frankly, is where I want to be. And while I'm not the biggest Carthon fan out there, and I certainly don't have, a ton of faith in Rand Carthon for different reasons, I do think he'll know who's a bozo and who's not on the Shanahan tree. And I just don't think Vrabel is irreplaceable. He's a good coach. But a good coach and Kyle Shanahan are not the same thing. And he's not Kyle Shanahan. So even if they move, so a lot of people are worried about, well, what about Will Levis? And is this going to ruin Will Levis? And is this, even if they move off of Vrabel after year one, as long as there is a good plan in place, I don't think it would necessarily ruin Will Levis. You're going and getting him an offensive coach who's going to be with him no matter what. I would be stunned if they got a defensive coach. And I used to not believe in the offensive coach. I used to be anti-offensive coach. I used to be you've got the offensive side of the ball. You hire some veteran guy like Leslie Frazier to come in and run the defense. And it's like, all right, Leslie, you got the defense and you're in charge of it. And I'm running the offense. And I used to hate that because I wanted a head coach that was in charge of everything But the more that I've realized that the skinny guy with the tight pants that has the giant laminated play sheet in front of his mouth all the time those are the guys that are growing up these young quarterbacks, the more I get excited about it. I mean, I don't know why Justin Herbert doesn't have one of those. And he's got a defensive coach who doesn't know if it's Tuesday or Wednesday, doesn't know if the ball's pumped or stuffed. But, I mean, I am not worried about losing Mike Vrabel. And I'm a big believer in consistency. And I was incredibly worried when it came to firing Mike Mularkey for, I think, the same reason that a lot of you all right now are worried about firing Mike Vrabel, which was I felt like if you fired Mike Mularkey, you were getting rid of a coach you knew was a good coach you could have success with. You may not have liked Mularkey, but he had 2 winning seasons as head coach, and he went to the playoffs, and he won a playoff game, and that's good. Like, that is good in the NFL. And so I was afraid after a decade of bad coaching with the Titans that the Titans couldn't go out and get a good coach. Well, now in this particular instance, and I am not advocating that they fire Vrabel. I've already told you, if the season ends, let's say the Titans don't win another game this season, I would still argue Vrabel should be the coach. But now we're talking about getting serious draft capital in return, and I can get an offensive coach to go help out my young quarterback. To me, that's a no-brainer. And Vrabel is not that good of a coach. He's a good coach. He's not that good of a coach. 615-737-1025, and our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. One texter into the text line says, I'm ready for Vrabel to go. I'm ready for him to go for day 2 picks. Bring in Arthur Smith as head coach after the Falcons fire him. Arthur can develop Will Levis with an offense tailored to bring him along over the next few years. I'm kind of down on Arthur right now, and I can't tell you that I understand it. I can't tell you that I know why Arthur Smith is having so much trouble right now in Atlanta. But he is. And it's not just trouble winning games, which is bad enough when you're losing to Josh Dobbs, who showed up 3 days before. But it's trouble with the media. It's the dysfunctional kind of trouble. Why aren't you giving your star player the ball? That kind of trouble, which I don't like. And I am shocked. I am shocked when it comes to Arthur Smith that that's the kind of trouble he's having, because I really felt like Arthur as a coordinator when he was here was smart, innovative, well put together, very thoughtful, relatable, both, as a trillionaire was, I thought, relatable to the players, relatable to people. And I just thought he had like a good, he had good personal skills that I thought would make him a great coach. Even, like when they lost that first year with Matt Ryan, it's like, well, is that really his fault? Then Matt Ryan went away and they had to play with Marcus, and it's like, well, is that really his fault? And then they've got a young quarterback they like. And so if they've got a young quarterback they like, and I'm like, well, Arthur knows quarterback, so he must be good. He sucks. Then they've got a receiver, a tight end. They pay $1 bajillion on their offensive line. And then they get this freak running back that might be like Earl Campbell and Adrian Peterson if they had a baby. I'm like, this team's going to be awesome. And they suck. And I can't explain why. So I'm not ruling Arthur out. But somebody's got to tell me what happened with Arthur. Now, LD from McMinnville, I think, misheard what I said. He said, so you're okay with Vrabel being traded to the Patriots because yesterday you said that Bryce Young could be ruined if the Panthers fired their coach after one season, and the same would apply here. Two totally different things. Number one, I am talking about the organization ruining Bryce Young in general because they have a bad owner. This Tepper, who owns the Panthers, is the single most impatient guy I have ever seen in the NFL. The guy fires coaches. He's the kind of guy who's got too much money for his own good. He fires coaches at the drop of a hat, moves on from quarterbacks after 1 year. They don't understand in Carolina, it's going to take time. And he's already 1 year in with Bryce Young, and he's mad at the coach. And it's like, dude, you demanded that they trade everything in order to move from 9 to 1 so they could draft Bryce Young. And so you're not going to have DJ Moore anymore. You traded Christian McCaffrey last year, so you don't have the pieces around him, and the owner's mad about it now? So the owner's going to fire the coach, and you're going to go looking for another coach? That is dysfunctional, and I don't think Bryce Young can succeed with that. I heard Rick Spielman talking about this, the former general manager in Minnesota. He's like, they don't do things in Carolina for Bryce Young that they do for C.J. Stroud in Houston. They don't move him around. They don't use play action. They don't use the running game. They just line him up in shotgun and say, all right, Bryce, here you go. John says, Jared, what will it take for you to admit that the Boston Globe story wasn't real? If Belichick and Vrabel remain coaches at their respective teams next year, or will you talk it up to being real and it just not materializing? I mean, I think it's real. What will it make me think that it's fake? I'm not ruling out that it's fake. Like, the Boston Globe has legitimate standards, and I do know that in that level of capital J, Joe Rexroad journalism, like, the editor has to know what the source is. So this can't be like when some Twitter DM guy, DM'd Ben Volen and trashed Mac Jones, and then Mac Jones went with it on the radio, or Mac Jones, Volen went with it on the radio. It's not like that, or at least I assume it's not like that at the Globe. But I'm open to the fact that it might not be true, but I'm pretty certain it's true. I mean, even that Kraft at the Hall of Fame induction with Vrabel, that last part of it, when he was like, Mike, you might be a titan in the industry right now, but you will always be a Patriot, is like, that was a little wink, wink. Tune into 94.9 The Fan today for Vandy women's basketball. The Commodores will be on the road to take on UT Martin with at 5:30 tip-off with pregame at 4:30. Coverage is also available on the 94.9 The Fan app and at 949thefan.com.
Every day we are live and local.
I think Vanderbilt is steady, disciplined.
It's been so long since Tennessee's gotten out of the first weekend.
And your source for Nashville sports. I don't mind going to another team.
You want to know what the coaching staff's going to look like?
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Family Leisure's Ultimate Game Room Sale is back.
Huge discounts up to 50% off on all kinds of game room furniture and accessories.
Slate pool tables from Brunswick and Legacy pool tables. Prices starting as low as $14.99 installed.
Perfect for Christmas.
Family Leisure has huge savings on massage chairs. Full body massage chairs starting at only $9.99. 4D massage chair more than half off at $29.99.
Family Leisure guarantees to beat anyone's advertised home theater seating prices. Shuffleboards, foosball, and air hockey tables on sale as well.
That's Family Leisure at both locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Want an inexperienced surgeon?
Okay, nurse. I'm ready for the scalpel.
How about an inexperienced airline pilot?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain, and I'm terrified.
Experience matters, and we have it.
Regal Realty Group is experienced to help you from contract to close. They know the area, understand financing, and have up-to-date property listings and comparisons. Oh, and lots of experience. Visit RegalRG.com.
Penalty Box Radio Live is back. Join Alex Doherty and Sean Smith every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. for a full hour of local hockey talk, full analysis of the Nashville Predators. Honest hockey talk like you've come to expect from the Penalty Box Radio brand over the years. Penalty Box Radio is back home on 102.5 The Game for the 2023-2024 hockey season. For more, check them out at penaltyboxradio.com.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy. Pretty much hands off, They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Green right, Fox 2 run, double K's. He takes you inside the huddle through the eyes of a quarterback.
Wide 85, take!
Catch ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck every Tuesday at noon as he breaks down the big stories in the NFL.
Buffalo, maybe Miami.
And with the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans might be like, we're interested in a 1-year, $1 million contract.
Tim Hasselbeck is on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Smashville, this is Andrew Burnett, and you're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
To me, one of the sources has to be Kraft, in my opinion.
I agree.
It has to be.
Or
you don't write it.
Or his son.
Yeah, the Kraft family. Or you do not write it. And then you do two, and you say close to kind of separate it to try to protect them. And if it's not that, then why the hell did you write that? So that's and I have no idea. And I don't really know Ben.
So why is
and
Kraft?
I don't know.
Why
But that's how I look at it as a reporter. The way that's phrased, one of those sources, the source better be Kraft.
There you go. That was Joe, capital J journalist, Joseph Robinette Rexroad Jr., a.k.a. Ian.
Joey Stackhouse.
Joey Stackhouse with his take about, again, he thinks it's Robert Kraft telling the Boston Globe that Robert Kraft wants Mike Vrabel. Think about that. Now, Joe, actually, there's one part of this that Joe brought up. He brought it up both on the morning show and on Jared versus Joe yesterday, which I 100% agree with. And that independent Boston Globe article, I'm sure most of you didn't read it because it was a very long article and because the Boston Globe has one of the strictest paywalls in America, where it's like, unless you are a subscriber to the Boston Globe, and why would any of you be a subscriber to the Boston Globe is beyond me. But unless you're a subscriber to the Boston Globe, like, you cannot read the Boston Globe. But in that article it also contained a nugget that there is a possibility that apparently the game in Germany this week against the Colts is like the Patriots Super Bowl. Now, why would an organization that's won 6 Super Bowls consider a meaningless 8:30 a.m. kickoff against the Colts to be their Super Bowl when I'm sure that I probably won't even watch it, other than the fact that we'll be doing the award-winning pregame show and it'll probably be on there during the pregame show, is beyond me. But it floated out the idea that the Patriots could fire Bill Belichick if they don't win this game, which I think is absurd. And Joe, the point that he's made is that oftentimes in college sports, athletic directors will float out names to the media just to see how the fans will react. And so Joe thinks, and again, this is the point that he made, that Kraft could be floating out Vrabel's name to see how the locals react to it, which I think has been positive because I've listened to a lot of Boston radio, and every single take for the most part, other than, well, he's not an offensive coach, is, oh, Vrabel, he'd be great. He's a great coach. He's a great guy. He's a great dude. He's all this stuff. But I do think that that's probably part of this, is it's Robert Kraft dipping his toe in there. The other part of it, again, being the fact that, oh, he may fire Belichick if they lose on Sunday, and everybody has reacted to that, not just the locals there, but I think everybody around the country has reacted to that with, they can't fire Bill Belichick in the middle of a season. If he was Bill Johnson, you could fire him in the middle of the season. If he was Bill Johnson, you probably would have fired him after last season. If he was Bill Johnson, you probably would fire him right now. But you can't fire Bill Belichick in the middle of the season, so Kraft's probably like, okay, well, we can't do that. But then the Vrabel thing, I think, has been somewhat positive. One texter says, nobody on national shows is talking about this. They can have Vrabel if they want him. Why are you so worried about it anyways? You dog Vrabel every chance you get. That's not true. That's not true. I think Vrabel is a good coach. Texter said, talk about the upcoming games, please. Tampa, below average football team, doesn't play any defense. Tennessee, below average football team, doesn't play any defense. Can't block on the offensive line. Quite frankly, the most surprising thing that I learned is that Andrew Catalon is doing the game. It's a new crew with Andrew Catalon and Matt Ryan and somebody else. I forget who the third person is.
I actually looked at that yesterday. I can't remember either today, but
some former player, I think. But I mean, I feel like Andrew Catalon has been too good for you this season. Got Spiro Ditas and Adam Archuleta a couple times. And then you've got, the last crew for CBS pretty much the other times, right? You got the guy that does college games the first week with McCourty.
Tiki Barber.
Oh, God, he's horrible. He freaking sucks. I cannot stand listening to Tiki Barber.
So we got Catalan, Tiki, and Matt Ryan.
God. See, I actually was starting to like Catalan and James Lofton doing every Titans game
James
last year.
Lofton's off this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's doing the Beth Moen game? They don't have a Beth Moen game?
They do not.
They're doing James Lofton wrong. James Lofton's not that bad. He used to drive me crazy. Now I kind of like him. Texter says, what do you think the Titans could realistically get from the Patriots for Vrabel? See, here's the thing. In my opinion, about making a trade of the coach. It's not what can you realistically get. That is when you are trying to get rid of the coach. Is what are you willing to give up? It's like trying to haggle, right? But if you like Vrabel or if you're fine with Vrabel, like I am, you set it at 2 first-round picks, and if they don't want to do it, screw you. He's my coach. And I don't know. Like, you ask me, what do I think the Titans could realistically get? I mean, these coaching trades are all over the map, as to what some teams give up for coaches and what other teams don't give up for coaches. And so I just say 2 first-round picks or the equivalent, if we want to get creative, of 2 first-round picks. And if you don't give it to me, screw you, Vrabel's my coach. I'm fine with that. I mean, I'm not getting into, what are they willing to do? That's their business. And I would have no idea how far Robert Kraft is willing to go to fulfill this fantasy he has of Mike Vrabel taking over the Patriot way and Mike Vrabel becoming the next Bill Belichick. Texter says you're forgetting that the Buccaneers cannot run the ball at all, so be prepared for some guy you don't know running for 130 against the Titans. They got that kid White they drafted in the 3rd round. I think they probably drafted him before you drafted Spears, because in order to draft Levis, you had to move down significantly in the 3rd round.
He's not a rookie.
White's not a rookie?
No.
How many 3rd rounds ago did they draft him? 2?
So, yeah, it might be a 2nd year or 3rd year. He's a young guy, though, but not a rookie.
He is much better, in my opinion, than Spears. Much better than Spears. And I get jealous watching some of these other running backs play, knowing that everybody around here, it's just Spears. Like, oh, Spears, he's so fast. He's so great. So then why doesn't he break like a 68-yarder? Chexter says, I'm a fan of Vrabel. However, people have him on a pedestal because he has one more playoff win than the last guy. Here's the thing about Vrabel. The thing around the country about Mike Vrabel that he gets credit for that doesn't matter to any of us was that he was a great player. It does not matter to any of us in Nashville that Mike Vrabel was a good linebacker on those Patriot teams. We remember those Patriot teams. We remember him on those Patriot teams. We know he was a captain on those Patriot teams. We know he's a Patriot Hall of Famer. Great. But that does not matter to any of us. Subconsciously, to everybody else, it's like a huge deal. It's like, oh, Vrabel, his teams will be tough, physical, and hard to play against on defense. I'm like, did you see the Thursday night game where the Scarbinis of the Steelers just ran for 160 yards? Chris in Nashville says, you think those announcers are bad? Listen to Dave Neal and Derek Mason do college football on the SEC network. They're terrible. I actually think Derek Mason's doing a pretty good job. I think I've listened to him call like all of one half. I want to say it was like a Kentucky game. I actually think he's doing a good job. You know, I'm going to have to back my guy, former Vandy coach Derek Mason, who I used to bitch about all the time, and then I really liked him. And I felt like, you know, he's the one guy around here who has successfully coached his way off the hot seat with me. I'm trying to think. Anybody else? Poyle didn't. Hines didn't. Was anybody else on the hot seat with me? Jerry Stackhouse hasn't and won't. Derek Mason's the one guy who, you know, was really on that hot seat with me, and that he's the only guy. I got to give him credit for that. I think he's doing a good job. Don't rip on him. Texter says, Robert Kraft is pretty long in the tooth. He may be desperate and give up more than he should for Vrabel. Let me just say this. You don't know what he's going to give up. I don't know what he's going to give up. I don't know that he's willing to give anything up. I have no idea. It doesn't matter. If you set your price and he's not willing to pay it, then you move on and Vrabel's the coach. It's great. It's great that way. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to weigh in. 615-737-1025. So there is something that the more and more I've thought about, Vrabel is not going to do this for the football team. And remember, everything he says he does is in the best interest of the Titans. Well, there is something that he is not willing to do. And I do wonder if it's in the best interest of the Titans. We'll get to that coming up next. TD at 3 o'clock, 615-737-1025. If you want to weigh in, make your silly underdog picks for your chance to win weekly prizes. You can play at theGameNashville.com or the 1025 The Game app. And Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. And be sure to tune into 94.9 The Fan this Saturday at 11 a.m. for our college football game of the week, presented by Twin Peaks, Michigan, and Penn State. Take your tailgate to Twin Peaks for scenic views of all the hottest college football games from across the country and, of course, home of 29-degree beer.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Vanderbilt and South Carolina from Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia. Kickoff at 11 a.m. Our coverage starts at 9:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. On game day, you never have to decide which teams to watch, only what combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late-night bites. Only at Twin Peaks.
Hey Nashville, ready for a leap back in time this Veterans Day? Join the Kiwanis Club at Centennial Park for a World War I Remembrance Spectacular. Hear from Kem Hinton, Colonel Stephen Todd, and veteran advocate Jennifer O'Neill. We're gathered at the Mother Monument November 11th, 1 p.m. Experience history with a World War I camp reenactment by the 9th Kentucky Infantry. And yes, there will be food trucks. Honor, remember, and celebrate with us this Saturday, 1 p.m. The Kiwanis Club of Nashville, serving our community since 1916.
When Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal. And it's happening November 17th through 19th. Our final store-wide sale of the year with deep discounts up to 35% off. This is the big one. The one where they break all the rules. Plus, Genesis selection is nearly double. With designers flying in their entire collections. All on sale. This is the last and best jewelry buying opportunity of the year. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes included. Lab-grown diamonds on sale too. Save up to 35% and get zero interest financing. November 17th through 19th at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
Need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt-free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit can get you $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Willie Donick here. Listen up. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help turn that equity into cash to put it to use. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards or pay off personal loans. Start the home improvement project you've been looking for. you can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact. So your 3% rate is protected. Call right now, 615-499-5780. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards. 615-499-5780 or go online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
This year, celebrate with your loved ones at Kitchen Notes inside the Omni Nashville Hotel. Enjoy Southern farm to table dishes with an elegant touch that is only available from the Omni Nashville Hotel. Start with citrus poached shrimp and cocktail crab claws, then move quickly to the main menu featuring herb roast turkey and smoked prime rib. Plus, indulge in a variety of sides and breakfast items. Enjoy Thanksgiving with your friends and family at Kitchen Notes inside the Omni Nashville Hotel from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. Make your reservation now at opentable.com.
One is a legendary NFL wide receiver.
I gotta be prepared. I have to be ready.
One is a legendary Nashville voice.
You don't have to rely on carrying the ball 250 to 300 times.
And the other has been a legendary trash talker on the playground since the 4th grade.
Nobody is a Pro Bowler on day one of rookie minicamp.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I guarantee you, yes, there could be some scenario that you guys could all come up with. Not to cut you off, but I promise you we can make some scenario for whatever is about to come out of here.
You consider giving Skoronski a chance on the outside at all, or is he a guy that you want to continue to develop inside no matter what?
I just think that Peter can continue to focus and be a really, really good guard for us at this point in time. But there's, I'm sure, a scenario that could come out after today that may make that a possibility.
There you go. That was Vrabel. He's telling you we're not going to play Peter Skoronski at left tackle. We think Peter can be a really good guard for us. Now, again, I talked about this when I watched the film of the Steeler game, and I'm only talking about the Steeler game in regards to Skoronski with what I'm about to say. But in the Steeler game, he had, a couple of bad plays, and he had a couple of good plays. There's one play where he takes Cam Hayward and shoves him 8 yards downfield. I'm like, holy crap. That is picking up a human being the size of Cam Hayward and pushing him 8 yards down the field. That is impressive. Then there are other times where he looks like a turnstile with a guy going right to Will Levis, and including some guy I'd never heard of that I had to look up, and I was like, oh, he's a second-round pick for the Steelers out of Washington as a DT. So some of it's good, some of it's bad. And I do think that they could use him getting better. Like, they could use the reps for him this season at guard, and he'll get better. And there's no real way anymore in the NFL to practice offensive line play other than to play in games, because they barely wear pads anymore. And even then, it's not the same wear and tear, and you're going up against the same guys every day. And really the only way to get better is to play in the NFL on the offensive line. So I understand the point. That being said, if we are at 3-5 with the Titans in the let's see what you got, and if you turn things around, good for you. Like, if we're of that mindset right now, and I think when you go to the rookie quarterback, you kind of are in that let's see what you got kind of mindset, would it not make sense to play Skoronski at left tackle? It probably won't help you beat the Buccaneers better than playing him at guard would. But if you put him at left tackle, if you go to Skoronski and say, hey, for the rest of this year, you're the left tackle, and you put him out there, won't that be enough, half of a season, to tell you if Peter Skoronski can play left tackle in the NFL? Because if Peter Skoronski can play left tackle in the NFL, then when you go into the offseason and you're figuring out what it is you've got to do in the draft and what you need to go buy in free agency, you could tell yourself, well, I don't have to worry about left tackle. I got left tackle. I drafted him in the first round last year. And if Skoronski can't play left tackle, that's fine. Move him back to guard next year and go get a left tackle. Now, my guess would be the counter argument again is right now Peter's doing a decent job. He's not doing a great job, and we think that he can be a great guard, so let's get him as many reps this season as possible at guard so that next year he can be a great guard, where if you play him at tackle, he doesn't get the same reps at guard, and it may slow his development. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with taking that risk in order to see if I've got a franchise left tackle. But for some reason, Vrabel is not even considering it. This is what your offensive line is going to be like, I assume, against Tampa Bay on Sunday. Andre Dillard at left tackle, Peter Skoronski at left guard, Aaron Brewer at center, Dylan Radins at right guard, and Chris Hubbard at right tackle. Now, what's the most important position on the offensive line? What position gets paid the most? I know they're all important, but which one gets paid the most? Left tackle. Is Andre Dillard your best left tackle? I would argue, just from what I've seen, I would rather see what Skoronski can do at left tackle. I would rather see what Radins can do at left tackle. And my guess would be that Hubbard, who has been a swing tackle in his career, Hubbard probably can play left tackle better than Dillard. So right now, the fourth best left tackle is going to start at left tackle because, well, we think Peter can be a good guard. And it's like, how's that in the best interest of the Titans? That's what drives me crazy. Everything we do is in the best interest of the team, and we're not changing no matter what. And you got a guy, you drafted him with the 11th overall pick ahead of your franchise quarterback, which still makes no sense to me. There is no way anybody can explain to me without it being total bullcrap as to how you end up taking a guard before a guy that's going to be your franchise quarterback. But, again, how he played tackle in college. He was a good tackle. You don't have a long-term answer at left tackle. Why would you not try it to see if he's good? And if he's not, move him back to guard. That just, it drives me crazy. Woo. Tom in Brentwood says if Mike Vrabel is going to continue to be the head coach, he needs to just be the head coach. He needs to get out of the player personnel business and just let Ran Carthon do his job. Here's what's crazy. I don't know who does what over there, right? Last week, Diana went on Robbie and Joe, and she said Ran Carthon's in charge, that Ran runs the show, that Mike does not have a heavy hand on the roster. Then Charles Robinson today on Robbie and Joe, he said everybody knows Mike Vrabel's in charge of the Titans. So before I can sit here and tell you that Vrabel needs to get out of personnel decisions, I don't even know what personnel decisions Vrabel does or does not have. And here's the other thing about Vrabel and personnel. Now, this is my traditional values, I guess, but I don't believe, unless you've earned it, I don't believe in a head coach who doesn't have any personnel experience being, I don't want to say involved in personnel, because every coach is involved in personnel. I mean, you're going to have to consult the coach, of who you're going to play, right? It's, well, I've got two options at quarterback. I've got Lamar Jackson or I've got Tom Brady. What would you rather have at quarterback? Well, if you run a certain offensive scheme that requires a pocket passer, you probably want Brady. If you want to move the quarterback around, you're probably better off with Jackson. So the coach needs to be involved at least a little bit. But I do not believe in the coach being in charge of the personnel. Unless, again, it's Andy Reid or Shanahan or whatever it may be. By the way, a texter texted in Tuesday morning at 9:57 and said, I'm done with Jared until he admits he was wrong about C.J. Stroud. And then the texter just texted in and said, you are not allowed to question the Almighty. We are supposed to sit down and shut up. Texter, are you done with this show? Because you said Tuesday at 9:57 you were, until I said I was wrong about C.J. Stroud. All I'll say about C.J. Stroud is this. It's still too early. I didn't see what they were saying, by the way, on TV this morning, but apparently on First Take, they were having the discussion whether or not C.J. Stroud should win the MVP. I'm like, didn't C.J. Stroud, and I didn't watch it, but didn't he, statistically speaking, have a bad game against Carolina 2 weeks ago? So he has one game where he just goes freaking off against Tampa, and we want to talk about him as a league MVP? Texture says, I promise I'm not trying to be a smartass, but I wonder if some of the plays where Skoronski lets people buy him is just a miscommunication with the tackle or the center, because both are pretty terrible. I don't know the answer to that. As far as why, Will Levis was asked about sacks yesterday, and I thought he had a great answer where he said that sacks are a team stat and that it's impossible to know because you don't know what the assignment is being asked of whomever it is if a sack is given up. Texter said, Vrabel did say in that press conference there could be a scenario where he would move Skoronski to left tackle, so to me, he didn't rule it out. No. What Vrabel did was, I guess there's a scenario anything is possible. That's what he did. Not it's something we could think about, but right now we're not thinking. No, it wasn't that. Trust me. Texter said, Jared, did you consider the Titans pick Peter to be a guard, period? Secondly, Levis was a last-minute option, which is the reason they picked the guard first. I don't understand last-minute option. Levis was on the board at 11-2. I don't understand that. 615-737-1025 TD will join us coming up next. His thoughts on Will Levis, where this is headed, what he's seen, the future at quarterback for the Titans. We will do that next. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025. And if we didn't hit your phone, we'll hit it with TD as we always do at the end of the TD Power Hour. This week's Nashville's Best Deal is West Coast Taco Shop. Try some of the best California-style Mexican food at West Coast Taco Shop on Murfreesboro Pike in Nashville. Their burritos, nachos, quesadillas, and a variety of tacos are delicious. Go to thegamenashville.com/deals to get half off a $20 gift card while supplies last.
Predators fans, Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse 100 in Bellevue, and Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue are 102.5 The Game's official home for Predators watch parties. Catch all the games at Brewhouse and enjoy great specials on Blue Note Bourbon and Black Abbey Beer. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 102.5 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Get ready for a magical holiday experience at Belmead Historic Site and Winery. Join us for our free holiday open house Thursday, November 16th from 5 till 8 p.m. Meet Santa and Mrs. Claus, tour our enchanting mansion, and delight in holiday crafts and activities for the whole family. Treat yourself with our renowned wines and bourbon from Belmead Winery and savor foods from the Belmead Meat and 3. Let's create cherished memories that will last a lifetime at Belmead Historic Site and Winery. Only 7 miles from downtown Nashville. Reserve online at visitbelmead.com.
Chris Brockman here from The Rich Eisen Show. And do you want even more excitement on game day? Yeah, you do. It's time to get on Prize Picks, the best way to win big on fantasy sports. Here's how it works. You pick 2 to 6 players. You choose more or less on their stats. If you get them right, you can win up to 25 times your cash. It's quick and it's easy to make your picks with fast and safe deposits and withdrawals. Prize Picks is the place to play. Prize Picks has awesome weekly promotions, and they're the only daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, keeping you in the game even if one of your players goes down. Watch your entry update in real time and continue the fun by making picks on the second half and fourth quarter stats. And right now, when you go to prizepicks.com/primetime, use code PRIMETIME for a 100% deposit match. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for more details.
In any work environment, culture is the most important thing. And what makes up the culture? The people. Hey, this is General Manager Sean Ford with Cromwell Media. And this month, we have several celebrating their anniversary working with us. From our sales department, Nicola Spencer is celebrating 19 years. From engineering, Ted and Holly, 13 years. And Willie Donick with 102.5 The Game is celebrating 12 years with us at Cromwell Media. If you're looking for a new career, reach out to us at together@cromwellmedia.com. Love what you do, love where you work.
Yo, 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 what's up, party people? I'm Julie Foudy.
And I'm Lynn Ozawi.
We host the ESPN podcast Laughter Permitted, where we have candid chats with trailblazing women in sports and beyond.
We've talked with goats like Billie Jean King, Simone Biles, Mia Hamm, Sue Bird, Candace Parker, Michaela Schifrin, just to name a few.
So grab a donut or 500 and check us out wherever you get your podcasts. And a huge shout out to our presenting sponsor, Ally, who has supported us since day one.
It's Laughter Permitted. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And the score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board.
Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. It is 3 o'clock on a Thursday, which means it's time for the TD Power Hour. Teron Davenport, ESPN, is with us. TD, good to see you.
Oh, yeah, it's good to be seen. I heard somebody say something yesterday, and it really stuck with me. She said, and this was at the Titans facility.
Okay.
She said, she said, I'm so glad to be seen instead of viewed. And I was like, that was pretty profound because, they view a dead body. Seen means you're alive.
I was like, where are we going with this?
Yeah, I saw your face. I said,
what are we talking about there? All right, I want to start with this. Will Levis, QB1, your thoughts?
Hey, I mean, I think it's a tough move. I want to, before even saying that, look, Ryan Tannehill, he gave anybody listening, he gave you guys a lot of really good football. Don't trash him. Appreciate that 2019 season, the 2020 season, the 2021 season. I know it ended on a bad note, but understand, like, this dude gave you a lot of good football, and he put himself on the line so much, and he was a really good football player. I still think he's a good football player. That being said, what goes around comes around, right?
Mm-hmm. If they're going to cheat with you, they'll cheat on you.
Basically. So when you look at Will Levis, man, it's just the excitement. There's a level of excitement just in talking to so many different players, that the coaching staff. Rob Moore, we got to talk to him today, and he has said that, the arm strength that he has and the attributes, it's exciting for you as a receiver, and it's true. So I think that is something I really feel that it is different with him because, don't get me wrong, Tannehill was very much able to push the ball down the field. But Will Levis is able to do that to a different degree. And then also with pressure in his face. You look and you see him kind of moving within the pocket. Obviously he was sacked 4 times last week, pressured 15. That's more than any other quarterback this season for the Titans got pressured. But that being said, I just feel like there's just a different element, a different kick that he brings, and it's good for the team.
I think my thing, too, you brought up the deep ball. It is much easier for Will Levis to throw the deep ball than it is for Tannehill, which is why it's easier for him to throw it under pressure because he doesn't have to wind up and put as much into it as Tannehill has to.
He could throw it off his back foot, too. That's the thing. That's the thing. He throws it off his back foot, and it's a lot easier when you could do that because you don't have to step into the throw.
When I look at Will Levis, I do think there's still a lot to work on. And I know you probably I assume that you think that too.
Absolutely.
There was something I watched, and I thought about cutting the audio, and I could cut the audio and play it for you, and you'd be able to follow it, but I don't think like a listener on the radio would be able to follow it. But it was during the draft process, because I was looking up all these old Mel Kiper breakdowns of
Kiper loves him.
He loved him. That's why. Is because, especially around here where like Levis didn't go to UT, every time Mel would go on TV and say something like, well, I think he reminds me a lot of Matthew Stafford, everybody here, Matthew Stafford! And it's like, actually, you know, like big, strong, durable, throws football really hard. Like,
I think he's more mobile, though. He's a better athlete than Stafford.
And, like, even though he's only played 2 games in the NFL, early in Stafford's career, when he would take a pounding like that, he'd be out for a little bit because they were killing him. But I was looking through some of that, and Dan Orlovsky did a breakdown of a play in the Tennessee versus Kentucky game where it was basically 4 verticals were going, 4 receivers were going, and Levis, he was talking about how Levis's decision-making was impacted by his frustration and how Levis threw a ball kind of like, you know, on the outside, kind of like that 4th and 4 throw to Burks. Whereas if Levis just waits a second and he's looking towards the left side of the field, all he's got to do is turn and chuck it right to the tight end who's running free with no safety help.
The tight end was on the opposite side?
Yeah.
So it was 4 verts. So you had twins on each side, right? Quads, right? And so the number 1 on the left is where he threw it.
Yes.
The tight end was where?
3.
Well,
like kind of lined up in the slot on the other side.
So the tight end was number 2 on the right.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay.
And so all he's got, and he like points to it, and he's like, or he waits another second and he can just drop it off to the back because the 4 receivers are taking the entire defense back. And I'm like, there were plays in the Pittsburgh game that were just like that, where it's like, I see why he tried to make this throw here. One in particular where he threw it to Hopkins and Hopkins had to come back to the ball, and it could have gotten intercepted if Hopkins didn't come back to the ball.
Oh, yeah, he turned to DB. I remember that.
Yeah. But Burks is running, you know, it's just so easy. Just turn the shoulders. Burks, 18 yards and running with the football. And I say that because when I saw Orlovsky break that down, I'm like, either this is a problem that is going to be a problem, or this is a problem that with the game reps, and if the game slows down for him, then they'll work that out of him. And then he's got real potential to be good.
You watched Levis, his presser yesterday, right?
Yep.
Do you remember when I asked him?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And the thing that really impressed me about that is he acknowledged, right? But Tim Kelly said he made the right throw. Mike Vrabel said he made the right throw. Charles London, he made the right throw in that case because what he's coached to do, they're like, hey, you get this matchup, there's an alert, you got to go there. And then he goes there, and you can't go back to him like Tim Kelly said and be like, hey, why'd you do it? You know what I mean? But that being said, the thing that I really liked about that exchange I had with him.
And just so people know, you asked him about the difference between, I wrote in my notes, shots versus safe. And his response was basically, you got to know what's going on, but don't be afraid.
Let me explain it.
Yeah.
So basically, what I was asking him was about taking that shot in this situation, knowing he had the alert, but understanding the situation where it's 4th and 4, right? And so why didn't your eyes go to that trip side, right? Because you know that the double team is coming on Hopkins. They did it a lot that night. You had Chig running the clear out, Phillips on the slant, and it's going to be open. And the thing that he said that I really liked is he said that you go back and you watch it. You don't say, dang, I messed up on that play. Right there. That is next level understanding, and I was really impressed by that. And that's something that, you know, you look at Mike Vrabel and how he talked about players, you know, being able to kind of self-diagnose and know what the mistake is before you go to him. And that allows it to be very much easier to coach him. So I was impressed by that. I think that's a good sign. You're right. There are plenty of areas for improvement for him. He's shown improvement also in the touch passing, but just to be able to kind of fight that urge to always go deep and take, because there's another one with Hopkins where Hopkins, they had twins on the left. It was he and Kyle Phillips. He was number 1. Hopkins ran a go route. Joey Porter Jr., listen, really good game he had. Of course, he got some double team help, but in that time, he had Hopkins covered. But Levis went there anyway. Mm-hmm. The blitz was coming. If he'd have just hit, and it's easy. I'm sitting here in a chair. I don't got Quan Alexander closing in on me and T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith. So it's easy for me to sit here and say it. But we're just discussing the play, and he blitzed. Kyle Phillips replaced it. A shot right there to him. He catches it, and he's probably in the end zone, if not the 3 or 5 yard line. So those are things where he's going to have to improve, like learn how to come off that deep route a little bit better. But, I mean, if that's what we're saying this guy has to improve upon, that's fine. Yeah. You could get better at that.
This is what I was thinking about, too, like the boxes with Levis. Leadership, not a concern. Not a concern. Arm strength, not a concern. I think he's smart. Like, I don't think the brains concern me at all with Levis. Decision-making in the games is the thing where I'm like, that box gets checked, and you've got a franchise quarterback.
Well, what did Tim Kelly say about that situation, the 4 verts at the end, the interception to Josh Wiley? He said that a lot of people don't understand the levity of being in that situation until you actually are. One of the best ways to get better at football is by playing football, right? So he's out there playing. This is only his 3rd start. You know what I mean? Like, there's much that could be built upon.
And I think, too, like with Levis, I mean, I don't want to rule this out. Like, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself or whatever, but the quarterbacks that fall in the draft, there are some dudes that don't make it, like Brady Quinn, and they fall in the draft because they're really not that good. And then there's dudes that fall in the draft that never let it go for the rest of their life. Dan Marino, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. And Levis had a similar level of shame and embarrassment that Rodgers and Marino and those guys had. And I wouldn't be surprised if Levis is the kind of guy who thinks about that all the time but doesn't really talk about it.
Yeah, remember on draft night what he said. He was like, it's going to be something that's going to make him work hard, but he's going to work hard regardless.
Yeah.
But rest assured, he's going to carry that on his shoulder.
He was very quick on that draft night when he got drafted and did that Zoom from his house. Like, I thought he was very quick to basically be like, yeah, it's obviously going to piss me off for forever, but I don't want to make a big deal about it. Mm-hmm. That was kind of, which makes me think that it's really a big deal to him.
It's going to stay with him.
TD is with us, 615-737-1025. We'll hit your phones for TD at the bottom like we always do. The question I've asked everybody, I asked Trevor this question, I asked Chris this question, I'm going to ask TD this question. I just don't get it. And I don't even know if Mike Vrabel knows the answer to this question. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Be sure to tune into Vandy football on Saturday as the Commodores will kick off at 11 a.m. at South Carolina. Pregame 9:30. It's an early start. Coverage is also available on the 94.9 The Fan app and at 949thefan.com.
So let me just kind of clear up some things here going forward. We're going to go with Will. We think that's the best opportunity for our football team.
Finally! You can all calm down.
Well, whether this is fair of me or not, I feel relieved.
Everything we're doing, we're trying to do in the best interest of the football team.
But it does bring a sense of energy.
Keep it locked to Nashville's best Titans talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Calling all sweet tooths. Head to Nashville Toffee Company, a place where rich, chocolatey daydreams are created from a secret family recipe generations in the making. Their toffees and candies are handcrafted in Nashville using all natural, kosher-certified ingredients. Sweet creamery butter, pure cane sugar, premium roasted nuts, deep rich chocolate, and sea salt. Visit NashvilleToffeeCompany.com or drop by their headquarters on Air Lane Drive for a positively hassle-free shopping experience. Whether you're buying for 1 or 100, Nashville Toffee Company is here to make your holiday gift-giving easy.
When the festive bells ring and everyone gathers round, make sure your home's ready for it. From flickering lights to chilly nights to busted pipes, Lee Company is here to help. Heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, or any fix-up you need, we've got the experts ready. Head over to LeeCompany.com. That's LeeCompany.com. Remember, Lee Company, all you need, so you can enjoy the holidays worry-free.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and last sale of the year is coming November 17th through 19th. It's an extraordinary event with savings of 20, 30, up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, fans, bracelets. Nothing's held back for this once-a-year, 3-day store-wide sale. Acclaimed designers will be flying in with expanded collections and special pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes are also included. Lab-grown diamonds, too. Discounts up to 35%. Genesis Diamonds. November 17th through 19th only. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, let me tell you about Nashville newcomer Black Tap Craft Burgers and Beers in downtown Nashville. Black Tap features award-winning craft burgers, wings, salads, Instagram-famous Crazy Shake milkshakes, and kicking cocktails. Also, enjoy Black Tap's game day offer during NFL and college games and score your choice of wings with All-American Burger, plus a pint of beer for only $15. Happy hour starts from 4 to 7, and it's rocking. Go check out Black Tap downtown for its next-level craft food and drink, unmatched fun, throwback vibe, and awesome people. Hey, discounted parking is also available.
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
Hey there, are you seeking relief? Perhaps you would just like to enhance your day or night. Did you know there are legal THC products available right here in Tennessee? I'm serious. You can have legal THC products shipped to the comfort of your home. Yup, Comfort in Cannabis is only one website away. Visit greentreescompany.com. Green Trees with a Z.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Regular season hoops are heating up. The NBA's inaugural in-season tournament is tipping with group play across the country. Catch the action Tuesdays and Fridays all month long at the #1 sports bar.
Stillman and Company always gets reaction, not only from listeners, but for advertisers. This is General Manager Sean Ford. 102.5 The Game listeners love supporting our advertisers. Let us show you how you can be a part of the program. Email me at together@cromwellmedia.com.
This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I'm specifically now just looking at what I saw in the Pittsburgh game. I don't think they out-physicaled that front seven. I think they out-techniqued them. And that's far different from just pushing those guys around, because I'm not going to sit here after watching the film and say, yeah, Big Jeff got pushed around. He didn't. How can you push a guy like that around? Big Tierra Chart, he got pushed around. Yeah, maybe 1 or 2 plays, and maybe he was going that way, and they just pushed him further along. But what I saw from the Pittsburgh Steelers is that their technique is what won them those matchups, and not necessarily, we just pushed this team around.
That was Derek on the Midday Show, and I did not watch defensive tape of the Steelers game, and I don't even know technique anyways, TD, so there would be no way for me to tell you if it was or wasn't. But I'm going to ask you the question I asked Trevor. I'm going to ask you the question I asked Chris. Why does the defense stink so bad right now?
There's a collection of things, man. I mean, you look at against the run, there's times where the edge isn't getting set, and you ask any, whether it's Shane Bowen, Mike Vrabel, Jeffrey Simmons, they'll say, you got to set the edge, create a wall, and swarm to the ball carrier, and that's not happening all in one over and over again. And I think you look at Jaylen Warren, he had a run to the left, and this is something that Shane Bowen has said about, just doing your job and trusting the guy behind you.
Mm-hmm.
And Rashad Weaver, he wasn't able to set the edge. Terrell Edmonds came
Was this the big one where he got down to the one?
Yeah.
In fairness to Weaver, I thought he got held on that play.
Well, regardless,
sure,
the edge wasn't set. And I don't know that he got held. I don't remember it being like that obvious or anything like that. But Edmonds came down, and he wasn't able to make the tackle because the edge wasn't set. And it was a big run. So you got that. But then you have other times, right? You look at, times where the linebackers, either the guards got up on them or they were out of position. So you have that. But at the same time, Aziz Al-Shire was all over the place in that game and the Atlanta game, coming up and making hits. But then also sometimes you got, the secondary. So it's everything. Sometimes you look at Pickett, right? He was getting rid of the ball. Like his average depth per target, I think, was like 4.5 yards. So they're throwing the ball quick. It's a little bit tougher to get to the quarterback when that's happening.
Sure.
So you mix that in too. So it's just a whole bunch of different reasons. But the fact of the matter is, for me, and that's why I asked Shane Bowen today, because it's like, you guys at home, like, you go crazy.
Yeah, get after the quarterback. But the
on
second
the
half
road,
of the
it's not
Atlanta game was
happening.
bad on defense too.
It was bad on defense, but collectively overall, it was because the first half was really good,
Sure.
right? They had 4 sacks in the first half. So it's just, I don't know what it is. They have to get it fixed.
Like in
because-
2020, we knew they just don't have any pass rushers.
Yeah.
Like they were playing Harold Landry 98% of the snaps or
Yeah.
whatever it was. And the other guys, it was like Wyatt Ray and Derek Roberson. And they kept 3 backers up on game day. So we knew what it was in 2020. Like we knew why they were so bad. This defense is not that bad. And yet this defense is that bad. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
Steelers'
unfortunate.
offense is horrible. And not only that, George Pickens should have had a touchdown, and he just couldn't keep that second foot in.
But if you want to talk about George Pickens, can we talk about Christian Fulton?
Now, Fulton played
'Cause
great.
Everybody wanted to talk about Christian Fulton.
Fulton played great.
4 weeks ago. A lot of crickets associated with his name now, but I tell you what, 47 yards allowed over 3 games.
And not only that, thank God, because with McCreary out, with Guerrer and Avery in the game Thursday night, those guys were struggling.
Yeah, it was a struggle.
And they're good. Like Fulton, thank goodness that he has gotten his head out of his tush.
1 catch for -2 yards.
Was that
on
the
3
screen,
targets.
the bubble screen that Pickens got all mad about after the game and started
And not
complaining about?
only is Chris covering well, Fulton is doing an excellent job against the run. Look at the Falcons
Atlanta.
game.
So I've
He
done it.
came
Yes, he was great
up
tackling in the Falcons game.
one-on-one with Bijan Robinson, stopped him right in his tracks.
See, to me, what bothers me is that it's like, okay, it's like a leak. The defense. Fulton was a leak, and then they get that patched up.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like you can't stop the run.
Yeah, it's like that
with
cartoon
this.
where you one hand's on this hold and you put
Yes!
the toe in this one and then
You can't stop
on
the
wall.
run against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who can't even run it, or the Colts with a backup running back.
Well, listen, I wouldn't be so quick to call Zach Moss a backup running back. He's 3rd in the league in rushing.
Because you gave him 800 yards.
He had a $165, but the other 450 or so, came against other people. So he, the fact of the matter, Zach Moss is and most of it came on that one run. And you remember the run.
They were worried about
KB was out of
Richardson.
position because he had to come and worry about Richardson. So I think, Najee Harris is still, I know he's not putting up the numbers, but he's still a solid back. Jalen Warren, you tell my guy, he's 6'1", 226.
I think he's the Tony Pollard of the Steelers. I think he's
that's a legitimate.
But here's my thing with the run defense. I used to, at the beginning of the season, not be worried about Saquon Barkley or Jonathan Taylor playing the
Didn't have
Titans.
to worry about anybody.
Because they've stopped, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And now it doesn't matter who it is. They'll still run all over the Titans. And I'm trying to figure out how that happened. I understand, like, against the Ravens are going to get theirs on the ground. That's just how it is. You got to understand, when you're playing the Ravens, you're going to have to find a way to score touchdowns because they're going to move it and kick field goals, and they're not going to miss field goals. And so that's fine. I don't care about the Ravens. But the Falcons, to run the ball with Algier the way they ran the ball.
Algier's a big back, too. 1,000-yard back
Algier's
last
not
year.
bad. They're not bad. But, again, if I went from not worried about Saquon Barkley or Jonathan Taylor to Jalen Warren and Taylor Algier are kicking my that is how? That, and I just don't get it. I don't understand it.
think
The
it's a
players on this
collection of
defense are
things.
too good for this.
Yeah, it's a collection of things. I mean, you look right now, they are 19th in the league, allowing $114 per game. And this is a team that has typically been, right around the 65 to 99 yards per game. So something is obviously going wrong. I think when you look at, here's the thing. Okay, going back to what Shane Bowen said today about the 5 carries for 85 yards. Yeah, you could take that away, and outside of that, you're looking at like 30 other yards. But the thing is, on those, they have to stop having those 4 or 5 plays where a run is like an explosive is broken off.
Sure.
They have to manage some way to be more consistent down in and down out instead of having those slip-ups where, and linebacker's out of position or doesn't fill a gap or a guy doesn't set the edge or, a defensive lineman gets moved out of the way. Like, all of those things are happening, and it can't happen consistently, leading to bigger plays. You know what I mean?
Sure. And when Derek talks about them being out-techniqued, again, I can't tell you if he's right or wrong because I don't know defensive line technique and offensive line technique and whatnot. But, like, Terrell Williams, like, he's the best coach on the team.
Yeah. That's the
His guys are paid the most.
That's the tough part.
They're veteran players.
I don't know. TK McClendon is a guy that they're going to bring up. He had a pretty solid preseason. I really wonder, and I don't know if you remember Marlon Davidson from Auburn.
He was a first-round choice?
He was a second-round pick.
And he played with the guy that was like a top 5 pick, right?
Yeah.
Derek Brown.
Yeah. He's on the roster, on the practice squad. I was talking to him today, as a matter of fact. So I wonder if he's a guy you bring up because he was really good, against the run. So I wonder, how they start because with Naquan Jones being released, which I don't understand. I don't know like what was behind that, but it's just they have the players to do the things that they need to do. I just don't understand why it's not happening.
The other thing that is driving me absolutely crazy is every game is the same except for the Browns game. Take the Browns game out, every game has been the same. At home, you score 27 or 28 points, and you're hitting a deep ball on offense. Tannehill hit Burks and Moore in the Charger game. They hit Moore and Hopkins in the Bengals game. They hit Hopkins and NWI in the Falcon game. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. You go on the road. You end up not scoring touchdowns in the red zone. You give up one too many X plays right at the end of the game, and you cannot block for crap on offense. And I don't understand how that is. Like every home game, Derek runs for 100. Every road game, Derek runs for 64. How is it the same game every week?
4 out of their 5 losses are by a score or less.
Unbelievable. I heard Vrabel bring that up the other day when it was like, well, they're all one-score games. I'm like, dude, you're Mike Vrabel. Like, that's the Eric Dickerson loser talk, right? We don't want to almost win.
He was saying that in reference to them always fighting their ASSs off. I think that's what.
Probably something to that.
But I think the bigger picture, because we talked about the defense. Now, I'm not sure of another segment you want to do it or not, but, the red zone problem.
Oof.
Right? They're at 34%. This is a team from 2019 to last year was at 70. What happened to cut that in half?
So Trevor thinks it's the offensive line. I think it's 2 things. I think it's the offensive line, and I think it's A.J. Brown and other dudes.
But A.J. Brown wasn't a huge factor in it. He wasn't scoring a lot of if you look at his touchdowns, a lot of those were like
43 yards.
Yeah.
And Well, I just felt like the Titans used to make a lot more contested catches. And right now they really struggle with that outside of Hopkins.
You know who they miss?
Jonnu Smith.
Jonnu. I remember one year he had 8 touchdowns. All 8 of them were in the red zone, and a good amount of them were contested. Look at the Ravens game. So you got that. I think, to Trevor's point, the offensive line has made it a little more difficult. Tannehill being able to run the ball was a big factor, too, because remember, he had 7 rushing touchdowns the one year. So it's a lot of things.
TD's with us. We do have to get to TD's thoughts on the Boston Globe report over the weekend. I know. I already see the smile from TD. We'll do that next. And, of course, we'll hit your phones as we always do at 615-737-1025 here on our program. And be sure to tune in to 93.3 Classic Hits this Saturday for MTSU football. The Blue Raiders will kick off at 2:30 at home against FIU. Pregame 1:30. Coverage also available on the 93.3 Classic app and at 93.3classichits.com.
All the big plays.
Henry, touchdown, Tennessee. Tennessee.
All the big stories.
I fully expected DeAndre Hopkins wanting a one-year deal.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Touchdown, Tennessee.
You're going to make a trade like this.
Does he want to retire a Tennessee Titan?
The door's on the board.
Such superstar players. The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You've heard of AI. We want you to know that some messages and content we broadcast is produced using AI. All content produced or written with AI is supervised by our staff before airing. AI is only a tool for all of us, and we use it for that purpose. You can be assured that we will not use AI in any way that is unworthy of your trust.
SEC basketball lives right here in Nashville, and you don't want to miss out as the Vanderbilt Commodores tip off the season. With a variety of budget-friendly ticket options, you can be there for all of the Memorial Magic. Led by SEC Coach of the Year Jerry Stackhouse, the men's team hosts home games against Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, and a whole lot more. And Coach Shea Ralph and the women's squad will take the court against the likes of LSU, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. For tickets or more information, go to VUCommodores.com or call 877-44-VANDY.
Need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit can get you $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Willie Donick here. Listen up. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help turn that equity into cash to put it to use. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards or pay off personal loans. Start the home improvement project you've been looking for. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact, so your 3% rate is protected. Call right now, 615-499-5780. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards. 615-499-5780 or go online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Mark your calendars, Nashville. This Veterans Day, step back in time at Centennial Park. The Kiwanis Club is hosting a World War I remembrance. Hear from historical architect Kem Hinton, Colonel Stephen Todd, and actress Jennifer O'Neill, a staunch veteran advocate. Join us at the Mother Monument November 11th at 1 p.m. Then step back in time with a World War I reenactment camp by the 9th Kentucky Infantry Regiment. And don't forget, food trucks will be on site for your appetite. Remember, honor, celebrate. This Saturday, 1 p.m., join the Kiwanis Club of Nashville, a community pillar since 1916, for a Veterans Day celebration. Witness history come alive in Centennial Park. Don't miss it this November 11th. The Kiwanis Club, anchoring community, celebrating valor.
It's the Electronic Express Black Friday Savings Marathon. Every Sunday means hot new deals. Get the gifts you want and save up to 50% throughout the entire store. Get the Samsung 75-inch 4K TV, only $649, plus other hot deals. At Electronic Express, dream big, pay small with up to 36 months free financing on items like a Samsung French door refrigerator, only $13.99, or an Acer laptop, now only $199. Shop the Black Friday Savings Marathon at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
You promised.
I took the garbage out.
No, I'm talking about all the work we need to get done around here.
I know. We need a new roof and we need replacement windows.
How about a new bathroom and some overdue remodeling?
And how are we supposed to pay for all that?
My sister said she called Remodeling Loans and they were able to find her certified contractors.
That's great. But how'd she get the money to pay for all that?
Remodeling Loans offered 0 interest for 60 months. They even have payment plans with 0 down and 0 deposit.
Looks like we're getting a home makeover.
Great. Now, if I only knew someone to call for a husband makeover.
Really?
Remodeling Loans is the #1 leader in home improvement financing. Call 800-921-1403 today for a no credit check, no risk approval. Get approved today and we'll match you with the best contractors in your area. And remember, no deposit financing is now available. Call 800-921-1403. 800-921-1403.
Are you always on the go? we've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad. It's Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mays.
Stillman Company.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Philip Forsberg. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Mike was always ready, willing, and Vrabel. There was no one who values versatility as much as Coach Belichick, but there's no way Bill could have predicted how valuable Vrabel would be when we signed him as a free agent in 2001. Mike was not the most heralded free agent signing, but he quickly became one of the most important ones. Over the next 8 seasons, Mike was a key cog in a defensive unit that helped us secure 6 division titles, 4 AFC championships, and 3 Super Bowl victories. Mike will join the 33 other members inside the Patriots Hall of Fame, where his legacy will be preserved as one of the greatest in franchise history. Mike, you might be a titan in the industry now, but to us, you'll always be a Patriot.
TD, did you think you were going to avoid the TD Power Hour this week without talking about the Boston Globe report that the New England Patriots...
I was hoping.
Even Ian got one in there behind the glass. All right. Your thoughts that the Boston Globe is reporting that 2 separate independent sources have said that Robert Kraft's dream is to hire Mike Vrabel to replace Bill Belichick.
I tell you the same thing I told Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace.
About your car?
My dream is that Corvette Stingray. That's my dream, but that doesn't mean like it's going to happen tomorrow. It could happen tomorrow if I wanted to, but it's not going to happen. So I say all that to say it's cool to dream, but there's a lot of things that have to happen for that dream to come true. And so for me, with that dream coming true, like it's just, okay, you got to have Bill Belichick, who signed a contract, an extension. You got to get rid of him. You got to have the Titans be willing to listen to a trade offer. But before all that, you got to have Bob Kraft willing to trade. So there's so many moving pieces. I think it's just extra talk that just, in my opinion, is just not necessary. And I get, the reporter is well-sourced, and the Boston Globe is a very distinguished newspaper, so it's not something that, came out of nothing.
It's not a message board.
But the fact is, it's cool for that one party to want it, but it takes 2 to tango. And I just don't think the Titans at this point would tango anyway.
Okay, let's start with all of those layers. I think Belichick's done at the end of the year. It's so bad there.
Even though he signed an extension?
Yeah. And I don't think it's an accident that came out the week that Vrabel was up there.
That what? The extension?
Yeah. So Floyd told me that only 3 people see Belichick's contract, that Belichick signs it, gives it to Kraft. Kraft hand delivers it to the commissioner the next time he's in New York. Now, I think that's kind of, the legal people probably have to look at that, right? Like,
yeah, there's
Bill's
some legal,
lawyers
yeah,
and their whatever.
Yeah.
So more people than 3 see it, but it's it's very secretive about Bill's contract. And Ian Rappaport said multi-year and lucrative. Well, no, it's lucrative. It's Bill Belichick. Of course, it's a lot of money. So multi-year could just mean this year and next year. But I do think that they can't go on with Bill as the coach after this. It's so bad.
Yeah,
there.
I don't know. And the thing is, so with that, you got to replace the GM as well, right? Because Bill Belichick is an effective GM as well. So there's a lot that has to go on. Maybe they get the band back together, right? They call Scott Pioli and bring him. Maybe they do that. I don't know.
They've got that Matt Groh, Al Groh's son, who actually I knew a little bit when he was a coach at Louisville. And Matt Groh is like their he's like what Floyd was up there, what Nick Casario was up there, like, Pioli was up there. So in theory, like that guy could run the personnel and Vrabel could be the coach and be in charge of him or whatever. So I think it's over between Bill and the Patriots. And I absolutely think Kraft wants Vrabel. And I do think Kraft would be willing to trade for Vrabel. Now, I don't think Kraft would be, I don't know what Kraft would be willing to trade for Vrabel, just that he would be willing to trade. Then we get into what would you be willing to. Would the Titans be open to entertaining it if Vrabel wanted to go to the Patriots and Rand Carthon thought, well, okay, I can go hire a coach and we get these great draft picks and Mike wants to go there? Would the Titans be open to that? Or are the Titans just going to say, nope, he's our coach and we're not interested in you getting our coach?
I think Mike Vrabel is such a key cog in that machine. I don't think that it's something that they would entertain. Now, if he was like, listen, this is something that, then it's like, okay, all right, let's see what we could do. But I don't think, just all things being considered, I don't think that it's something that they would do. And the other thing is, there's a reason why that value is, there's a reason why the Eagles offered, a first-round pick and, a third for A.J. Brown, because there's value there, right? He's a wanted commodity. So you have to understand that, and I think there's a thing that could be said for stability. I could see Mike Vrabel as a guy who's here for a long time, right? And you look at how this situation is now, you got a quarterback that you're not paying a lot of money, second-round pick contract. You got almost $100 million to spend. Now you could build around, a la the Seahawks with Russell Wilson, a la the 49ers with Colin Kaepernick. Now, granted, those two rosters were in a better shape at that point than the Titans are now, but it's the concept of being able to build around a low-cost quarterback. So I think you look at all of that, and you look at just Mike Vrabel's such a presence in that building. I would be very surprised if they did part ways with him, but, you never know, right, what could happen.
The thing for me is, if I was Vrabel, I just wouldn't want any part of the Patriots.
Basically, because look.
That roster's terrible.
It's terrible. We just talked about the situation, how promising and upswing is working for the Titans. They don't have cap space. They don't have a lot of draft picks. Like, they're in a bad situation. I wouldn't want any parts of that.
And it's, it's a razor-sharp sports market up there.
Yeah.
So you're walking into a bad spot with a razor-sharp sports market. They'll blame Bill for the first year. They won't let you blame Bill after that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is – so I wouldn't want any part of that. I would say this, though. Like, I've set my feelings on Vrabel and a potential trade. Like, I do think Kraft would be willing to trade because he traded for Belichick, and that worked out so well for him, that my thing would be 2 first-round picks. Or its equivalents, right? Like, he's not going to give you the 4th overall pick in the draft, but if you pick swap with him and get their second, that equals like the 17th pick in the draft, and then your first next year, like, okay. And I think that the value of 2 first-round picks right now with this roster, with the ability to let Rand Carthon hire his own coach, especially because I feel pretty strongly that Rand's coach would be an offensive coach.
So you're gonna go meet Ben Johnson at the airport, huh?
No, he's not a Shanahan guy.
No, I didn't say Shanahan part. I was just
No.
throwing the Ben Johnson part.
Bobby Slowick. Hey, I'll go. By the way, Bobby Slowick is. He and CJ Stroud are making some sweet football music.
Yeah,
but go get an offensive coach for my young quarterback. And I got my 2 first-round picks this year. I got my 2 second-round picks this year. I've got my first-round pick next year from the Patriots. Like, that's a lot of firepower. And it's not only firepower to use to go get players in the draft to help out Will Levis, but you can also trade back with some of those picks to pick up more picks to help out Will Levis. Or if, say, Minnesota and Justin Jefferson can't get a contract figured out, and they've decided they're moving on from Cousins and they're rebuilding and they need picks. And so now all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I got the Patriots second rounder. I've got my second rounder, and I'll give you my first rounder next year. Give me Justin Jefferson. Now it's probably too much for Jefferson, but like and you get that guy for Will Levis. Now you are talking.
I hear you, but there's always that wild card. You never know how somebody as a coordinator is going to be as a head coach.
It's true.
And it goes back to something we talked about before with Ben Johnson. And you even look at this with Bobby Slowick. I've never watched his pressers. I haven't heard players talk about him or anything like that. So I don't know, but you have to wonder, okay, because remember, this is a very tight ship that's being run right now. So the next person that comes in, they're going to have big shoes to fill, and they're going to have a lot that has to be done from a managerial standpoint, right? Because you're not just X's and O's and dealing with one half of the roster. You're dealing with the whole roster. And I think you look at Mike Vrabel and just the way, case in point with Will Levis, right? There was thoughts that there's some type of rift. Will Levis, when I asked him about it, he said, we have a great relationship. Mm-hmm. He's as hard of a critic as anyone, but we have a great relationship. And I think in that case, he knows how Will Levis needs to be coached. Whereas you turn around and you look at him coach a different player, he coaches them with a different set of gloves. That's personnel management, right? And you don't know how good a guy is at that until he's in that position where he's overseeing the whole roster.
But wouldn't Rand have a good sense of the 49er staff and the Shanahan staff
I would say
and
yes,
those guys?
Yes, but look at when Slowick was there. Was he a pass game coordinator? Or
I think so. I think they said that basically because they didn't replace the offensive coordinator spot when McDaniel left. Mm-hmm. So I think Slowick was that for the most part, and then they were kind of breaking in Brian Griese as the quarterback's coach.
Yeah. So you don't know. That's always the risk. Like you could have all these great things. I mean, you could have all these great groceries, but if the guy cooking can't put them together correctly, that meal is not going to be as good as the guy who knows how to cook and put it all together. That's the whole thing, and that's why I think there's so much importance in a head coach. And when you have one that's good, I think you do what you can to hold on to him.
Joe threw this out. I thought it was kind of a hot take, the idea of Tim Kelly being a head coach. I think Tim's got a very stable personality to be a head coach. Mm-hmm. I don't know if
he was great today, by the way. Really good. Really good.
I feel like he's got like a very, I don't want to say Tomlin-like personality, but like I think he's like respectable and he's honest, but he doesn't really tell you anything that is like super informative.
I've seen him lose his marbles on the sideline a couple times.
I've seen Tomlin go crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't know. I just keep it in the back of my mind as well.
I did a poll, right? And I asked probably about 10 to 15 players which coach. And you know who the one was, right?
Terrell Williams?
No, the one you say needs to be fired. Now, he would be a real
Ackerman?
Ackerman. But it goes back to what I said about managing the whole roster. And this is something I never really thought about it until John Harbaugh got the job. Special teams coaches are really good options because they're prepared because they're not just dealing with the receivers, running backs, O-line, and quarterback. They're dealing with the whole roster.
Between that and something I heard at the CMA Awards last night that I'll tell you about off air, I cannot with this Ackerman stuff. Questions for TD. We'll do it next. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Vanderbilt basketball lives here.
Hey, it's Kevin Ingram. Join Tim Thompson and me for Friday Night Hoops as Vanderbilt takes on USC Upstate. Pre-game at 5:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Family Leisure's Ultimate Game Room Sale is back.
Huge discounts up to 50% off on all kinds of game room furniture and accessories.
Play pool tables from Brunswick and Legacy Pool Tables. Prices starting as low as $14.99 installed.
Perfect for Christmas.
Family Leisure has huge savings on massage chairs. Full body massage chairs starting at only $9.99. 4D massage chair more than half off at $29.99.
Family Leisure guarantees to beat anyone's advertised home theater seating prices. Shuffleboards, foosball, and air hockey tables on sale as well.
That's Family Leisure at both locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Family and fun come together.
Hey home buyers, TJ Anderson here with More Great Homes. Located just west of Nashville in a tranquil setting of Kingston Springs Ranchettes neighborhood, 1617 Wildlife Trail offers 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a 2-car garage, and a 1-year builder warranty, all for under $450,000. Contact my team today at tjandersonhomes.com for more info. Want your home listing to be seen and heard by home buyers? Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why we are referred by clients so often. TJ Anderson Homes at Benchmark Realty, office number 615-432-2919.
Join the Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce on December 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th for an exclusive look into what makes Nashville the It City. Whether you're new to town or a Nashville native, Intro Nashville gives you the opportunity to become engaged and connected to our city's community. During this multi-day immersive program, you will hear from over 20 community leaders and industry experts whose storytelling unlocks a comprehensive view of our city and region. Gain historical and economic perspective on Nashville while establishing relationships with local business leaders. Space is limited. Register now at intronash.com.
Blue Raider fans, your home for all the MTSU football and men's basketball action is on 93.3 Classic Hits and 95.1 Classic Hits in the borough. Catch the action all season long with Chip Walters on the call. Go Blue Raiders!
Actor Portrayal, based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband, proud father of 2, work my butt off 6 days a week, some nights too. When my family or my company needs me to make it happen, I make it happen. But a few months ago, I started having trouble making it happen, in the bedroom. I tried some pills online, but they didn't work. Honestly, I thought about throwing in the towel on my sex life, but I'm not that old. I still want to enjoy intimacy with my wife. Like that poet said, I don't want to just go gently into that good night. So I went to the Tennessee Men's Clinic in Franklin. Got some lab work done, was prescribed some meds, and wow, it made it happen. I can't say enough about them. Their providers took care of me, followed up, and made sure I had a treatment plan that actually works. It's awesome. If I were you, and you're like me, I'd give them a call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. If you're like most guys, they'll make it happen for you too.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
Nashville's Best Deals is a great place to save cash fast. Get up to half off or more on dining and entertainment at thegamenashville.com/deals. Check back often for new featured deals and save money now at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. On game day, you never have to decide which teams to watch, only what combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Get wings the way you want them. Try Twin Peaks wings bone-in breaded, naked, smoked and grilled, or boneless in your favorite sauce or rub.
Insightful discussion.
When we talk about the person that these players are.
3 goals scored in the first 5 minutes.
He wants to be the starter, day one.
Mixed with spirited debate.
Okay, but Derek,
let's Professor Derek. They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. With Caroline Fenton, Willie Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
We got the whole thing covered. We got it all covered.
Here.
Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
TD Power Hour. TD, you ever thought of you want to go to the phones?
To the phone.
Phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Adam in Portland up first for TD. Thank you for calling. What's up, Adam?
Hey, what's up, Jared? Hey, TD, so I can't really get past the past, man. I think about A.J. Brown daily, like way more in my life than I should be thinking about this man. And it got me thinking, and especially with everything going on with Vrabel, I'm like, man, I feel like if we would have just stuck it out with Malarkey, we would have a good football team right now. Because we had a loser, man. Like you were covering a loser. This was a losing football team, a losing city, and he brought it back. Vrabel didn't bring it back. Vrabel was a Patriot. That's why he got the job. So I'm sitting here thinking, I want you to answer this. Jared, Ian, y'all answer it as well if you can. Is there one move that you could think in the last, relevant year, 6 years, that if the Titans would have made this instead of what they did, that we would be a contender?
Didn't you just start the phone call with
you
it?
Started it with it.
That's mine. That's my pick. You need to pick your own.
Oh, so
okay,
we're not allowed to pick AJ Brown?
I can't pick the one that it is, huh?
Thank you, Adam.
I don't know any other one besides that. I mean, that's the one where it just
you traded away
everything
a superstar.
crumbled. You know what I mean?
And no disrespect to Burks, because I don't know Burks very well. You know him better than I do, but he really seems like a great kid.
Yeah.
But I mean, between the injuries and the drops earlier this year, and it's just not even It's not a comparison.
I've said all along, allow Traylon to be the first Traylon Burks, not the next A.J. Brown.
I almost do wonder if a change of scenery would be better for Burks, because I don't know if Burks is living with that pressure, but I do know that every time he doesn't do something right, it comes up.
Yeah.
Every time. Texture says, TD, if you were Amy Adams Strunk and you got a request from Robert Kraft for Mike Vrabel, what would you have to hear from Robert Kraft in order to entertain the idea of trading Vrabel?
I say 3 ones, 3 first-round picks. But again, it goes back to what I said about the stability of the coaching staff. If that head coach isn't right, no matter what you do, personnel-wise, you see the I almost said the San Diego. You see the Los Angeles Chargers? Uber talented. Man, you look at that defense. Derwin James. We could go on and on. You look at the offense, all that.
Well, think about it. They got their quarterback. They got their left tackle. They got their pass rusher. They got everything.
Couple really nice receivers. Do it all. Running back. Top level. Like everything. But they're not winning. I feel it starts with the head coach. If you don't have a good chef, I don't care what ingredients you put together, it's not going to work.
Texture says, TD, what do you take away from the video you posted today of Ran and Mike at practice together?
Yeah, so that video, I caught it late. They came together and said something and smiled at each other and then walked away. Look, that relationship, I'll bring more light to that soon. But that relationship is not it's not a power struggle. It's not one person over the other. It's none of that. It's not, hey, you wanted Andre Dillard, I didn't. It's your fault. It's not, hey, I wanted player X, you didn't bring him in. It's your fault. It's not that. It is a true collaboration. And I know for a fact, like, everything is very well vetted because it's not just those two. You got Chad Brinker, you got Anthony Robinson, you got Ryan Gardner, you got KT, you got Brandon Taylor. There's so many guys that are all involved in this. It's not a power struggle. So what I make of that is just an opportunity to see a couple guys at practice. That deal isn't what so many people believe it is.
Can I ask you who wanted Andre Dillard?
I don't know who wanted Andre Dillard. I would say collectively, I would say the group wanted him because every decision is a group decision. There is no decision where it's like, I'm doing this because I want it done.
You feel pretty convicted that there's no beef between Vrabel and Ram.
Very much so.
Let's go to James, who's up next here on the program. Go ahead, James. You're on with TD.
Thank you, TD. I said this to you before when I called. This is my favorite, even though I love Jared. I listen to Jared every day on my way into work. This is by far my favorite segment of his show.
Thank you.
That being said, I'm going to voice my personal opinion about the offensive line.
Yeah.
I think I may have talked to Jared about this in the past. I don't remember. But I feel like let's talk about when the offensive line started going in decline. I don't remember what year Isaiah Wilson was drafted, but I believe when we didn't pay Jack Conklin the money he asked for, and he got a little bit more in Cleveland than he was getting because we're a cheap franchise, and Jared always talks about that. In my opinion, that's when the offensive line started to decline. And I just want to hear your guys' opinion on that. I don't remember what year Wilson was drafted, but he was a bust. And then we had problems with Taylor Lewan, and I'd just like to hear your take on it. Thank you.
No, you know what? If there was another, that's it right there. Because think of the spiral, right? You don't sign Jack Conklin. You're like, okay, well, you know what? We're going to draft Isaiah Wilson to replace him. Isaiah Wilson becomes Isaiah Wilson. And then
Dennis Kelly gets old, so you cut him.
And then you go back and like, okay, well, maybe all right. Dylan Radins. And for whatever reason, that right tackle situation didn't work.
Well, and remember, they signed Kendall Lamb and Radins to compete, and neither ended up with the job.
And so that just opened a whole can of that just hasn't still to this day. Even though Chris Hubbard has been a solid player, it really altered the offensive line.
I think the big problem the Titans made, and we can go through each one of them. Conklin, to me, he has been injured in Cleveland. He's been good, but he's also been injured parts of 2 of the 4 seasons he's been gone. But I think the thing for me with the offensive line that I still can't get over is when they let David Quessenberry walk as a restricted free agent, when they could have just tendered him for $2 million. That, in hindsight, was, crazy at the time because even if you weren't sure Radens could do it, you could have tendered a $2 million contract to Quessenberry as the insurance policy. And instead, because you didn't just simply give Quessenberry $2 million, you, in training camp, traded a 5th-round pick in order to get Dennis Daly, and then you needed that 5th-round pick back, which led to you trading Kevin Byard.
Yeah, and, there was a guy that was out there that both of us had said, this would be a good option. His name is Morgan Moses, and that was a deal that could have been. It was actually a deal that's less than Andre Dillard's, although we know that there's an escape after this. So, yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. The O-line has been an issue.
Texter says, TD, what do you think of Spears?
And I wanted to say this to you also because, look, I know that you're upset that whoever is comparing Spears to Henry, and look at those guys as a tandem, and overlook that. And actually, look, Spears is a good player. He's a dynamic player. I know he's not consistently busting the 60-yard runs, but look at what he's been able to do. Look at the Ravens game, right?
I don't think Spears is a bad player.
There's explosiveness. No, I would hope you don't. But I think Spears is actually a good player. He's a rookie. He's going to get better. The value
where they picked him
because you're looking at running back. You're looking at running back.
Because I see Pacheco for the Chiefs, and he's a 7th rounder, and I'm like, if that's the quality of back in the 7th round,
is that always the quality of back in the 7th round? No.
There are usually
you could find solid day 3 backs. Yeah. I think what the Titans did, they found a good day 2 one, but it's not just back. And that's the whole thing that I've tried to tell you before. He's a weapon. They put him out wide. They put him in the slot. They put him at running back. He's a returner for them. Now, the return game is the return game. But I think you look at big picture and don't just funnel him into the running back position. The value is there.
What also bothers me about him as a receiver is that he's a lot – this is going to sound crazy, but he's kind of like Derek. From the standpoint that when Derek has the ball in his hands as a receiver, Derek can do some things with it. But Derek is not the most graceful guy when it comes to catching the football.
What other than the fall?
Well, that was Levis's fault.
Right.
But there was one out of the backfield where Levis threw it and Spears turned his shoulders to come back to the ball, whereas – if he was kind of a more natural receiving back, he probably lets the ball, keeps his shoulders going towards the sideline and kind of lets the ball come in and then runs with it.
Did the ball lead him to come back? And how was the defense? Because there are times where the quarterback throws the ball to throw you away.
There was a defender on his hip, and so when he came back to it, he got tackled right away. Whereas I think that, and it may have been either he and Levis don't have the time together or whatever it might be, but then I saw Carr throw a pass to Kamara, and I'm like, I thought it was Shaheed at first, and I'm like, gosh, he just looks so natural catching the ball, and that's what I don't see from Spears.
Yeah, I don't really see that unnatural catching ability. I personally think he catches the ball well, but I mean, everybody has their times where you're out
I also think I might be a little biased because I was mad they picked him in the 3rd round.
Exactly.
And I am aware of that possibility, but I try to be as unbiased as possible, even if it goes against the take. TD, good to see you as always.
Good to be seen.
Stillman and Company coming up next. I don't even know what we're talking about. Oh, yeah. I talked to a former general manager about what he's seen from Will Levis. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
When Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal. And it's happening November 17th through 19th. Our final store-wide sale of the year with deep discounts up to 35% off. This is the big one. The one where they break all the rules. Plus, Genesis selection is nearly double. With designers flying in their entire collections. All on sale. This is the last and best jewelry buying opportunity of the year. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes included. Lab-grown diamonds on sale too. Save up to 35% and get zero interest financing. November 17th through 19th at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
Green Day present the Saviors Tour live in Nashville.
Welcome to
Geodes Park, Friday, August 30th. Celebrating 30 years of Dookie and 20 years of American Idiot. Green Day with the Smashing Pumpkins, Rancid, and the Linda Lindas. Pre-sale for City Card members is available now at livenation.com. Green Day, the Saviors Tour, fueled by Monster Energy.
Get big savings and big rewards now during Provember at Lowe's. Right now, save $80 on a DeWalt 20-volt two-tool combo kit and earn 3 times the bonus points. Redeem those points for offers like NFL tickets to regular season games, a Super Bowl 58 experience for 2, and more rewards. Because Lowe's knows savings, Lowe's knows pros. While supplies last, selection varies by location. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Valid through 11/22, subject to change.
It's the Electronic Express Black Friday Savings Marathon. Every Sunday means hot new deals. Get the gifts you want and save up to 50% throughout the entire store. Get the Samsung 75-inch 4K TV, only $649, plus other hot deals. At Electronic Express, dream big, pay small with up to 36 months free financing on items like a Samsung French door refrigerator, only $13.99, or an Acer laptop, now only $199. Shop the Black Friday Savings Marathon at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Now, your Game Center update.
Brought to you by Gary Force Acura, proud sponsor of your Nashville Predators. The Nashville Predators are wrapping up their road trip tonight in Winnipeg. They'll be looking to rebound from a 4-2 loss to Calgary on Tuesday. Head coach Andrew Burnett on what he wants to see improved for tonight's matchup.
Well, I think our compete could be up a level. I thought our puck battles were probably an all-season low. Didn't generate a whole lot because we didn't have the puck. So I think that's the focus tonight. We need the puck a little more.
Puck drop for Preds versus Jets is set for 7 with pregame at 6 right here on the Game. The Tennessee Titans were back at practice today as they will travel to Tampa Bay this weekend. Wide receiver Traylon Burks, quarterback Ryan Tannehill, defensive back Sean Murphy-Bunting, offensive lineman Nicholas Petit-Ferrer, and offensive lineman Daniel Brunskill all did not practice today. Linebacker Aziz Al-Shire was limited after missing yesterday. Titans versus Buccaneers is set for a noon kickoff on Sunday. The Vanderbilt women's basketball team is back in action tonight at UT Martin. Pre-game gets underway at 5:15 on 94.9 The Fan. And the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders men's team takes on Stephen F. Austin with pre-game at 6 on 93.3 Classic Hits. From the Game Nashville studios, this is Ian Safar.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt. And I think he's going to coach up by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves. The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Normally I don't let the music play very long there, but TD and I were watching film during the break, so, trying to figure things out here. So I talked to a former general manager in the NFL, and I said, all right, in fact, and Ian, you can back me up on this because I just screenshotted the conversation and put it right in the grid. And I asked the former general manager, quote, what are your initial impressions of Will Levis so far? Former general manager says, it looks like the coaches trust him with the amount of the decisions that they let him make. He does read defenses and can work through progressions. First of all, I think that's a big deal for a rookie quarterback, and that the Titan coaches trust him. He does read defenses and can work through progressions. Still has to get the ball out of his hands sooner on the shorter routes. So he says, hey, looks like those coaches trust him. They let him make a lot of decisions. He reads defenses, and he can work through the progressions. But Levis holds on to the ball too long, which I think is something that Vrabel kind of alluded to. And I even wondered, I looked back on that Derrick Henry screen pass where Levis got clobbered as he got rid of the ball, and I did wonder, Are those the kind of plays where these experienced NFL guys are like, get the ball out, get the ball out, get the ball out, get the ball out? Now, the sack that he took in the 2-minute drill, I mean, you can't have that. You cannot take that sack. Chig was open. If not, just throw it right at Chig's feet. So then I asked the general manager this. I said, how long do you think it takes before, one, you know you have a guy, or two, you know I used a word that started with F, screwed up? He said, ideally, it's a full season of games, but I think you will have a good feel by the end of the season. So a former general manager says Levis is reading defenses, Levis is working through his progressions, and the Titan coaches trust him, needs to get the ball out of his hands faster, and that we should know by the end of the year if either Will Levis is a guy or if they screwed up. Now, here's where it's hard for me to get on board with this. And I am not arguing that I know one scintilla of what this general manager knows. But when it comes to us knowing by the end of the year whether or not Will Levis is a dude or that the Titans screwed up, Vince Young, Marcus Mariota, we've been through this. After 2 years, Mariota had taken the worst team in the NFL, and he had gone 9-7 with 26 touchdown passes and 9 interceptions, and the Titans, who had the 5th overall pick in that draft, were not even thinking of quarterback, with Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes still on the board. Because we all thought, after 2 years, we thought Mariota was the guy. And the first year, when it came to Mariota, was all kinds of screwed up with Wizen Hunt and that offensive line. And so his second year was probably more like what his first year should have been like, which is kind of what happened to Trevor Lawrence. And Mariota had you on the cusp of the playoffs, and he was 26 touchdowns, 9 picks. Vince Young was Rookie of the Year. He was the hottest thing in the league. He was on the cover of Madden Football. And that doesn't include other guys like RG3 and Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray and just those, to name a few, that after the first year, Baker Mayfield, everybody thought was undoubtedly a franchise quarterback after the first year. After Baker took over a Cleveland team that was a rudderless ship, they ended up firing the coach. They fired the offensive coordinator. They promoted Freddie Kitchens to coordinator. They won a bunch of games down the stretch with Baker as the quarterback. They won something like 8 games. He was Rookie of the Year, and it was like, that's the guy. But we know Baker wasn't the guy. So, again, I hear this general manager who tells me, ideally, a full season of games will tell us whether or not Levis is the dude or the Titans screwed up by picking him. And yet, here I am, and I'm like, I know you've got the experience. I know you've done this. I know you, ex-GM, know way more about football. But I lived through Vince Young and Mariota. And I remember RG3, Rookie of the Year. So, it's just, I believe that it takes probably 3 years before you know. Right? And I look at the 2021 draft class. Lawrence, I think we know what Lawrence is. Lawrence is good, but he's not great. And he's never going to be great. I don't think so. Zach Wilson, bust. Trey Lance, bust. Mac Jones, bust. Justin Fields, bust. Like, we kind of know right now on that group because it's been 3 years. But going into the season, the Bears thought they had a franchise quarterback. That's why they traded away the number 1 pick. So, again, that's what a former – if you just want to know what the GM said instead of me, he says the Titans let Levis make decisions, so they clearly trust him. He reads defenses and can work through his progressions, but he still has to get the ball out of his hands faster, and that ideally a full season of games would tell us whether or not he was a good pick or they screwed up, but that we'll have a good feel for him by the end of the year. What do you make of that? 615-737-1025. Speaking of general managers, Rick Spielman was highly critical of Will Levis during the draft process. He evaluates Levis's performance at Pittsburgh. What do we make of that? We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025, 1063 The Game.
When you want all the...
Going in and the score. Blast the score. He wrist one, they score.
And don't forget the...
Oh, what a stop. Sliding across to make the save. The backhander, nice stop.
When all you want is Smashville. We have you covered. Hear every Predators game right here. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Experience the thrill of gaming glory at Harrah's Casino and Hotel, just a little over 2 hours northwest of Nashville off I-24. Call 1-800-HARRAHS and reserve your room today to indulge in top-tier casino gaming, appetizing dining experiences, and their cutting-edge sportsbook. As a Caesar Rewards destination, every moment you spend at Harrah's Metropolis earns you points across the entire Caesars empire. It's your time to win with Harrah's Metropolis. Must be 21 or older to gamble. No one to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-BETS-OFF.
At Mercedes-Benz of Music City, a healthy and productive culture takes a day-to-day discipline. Here's Sam Cavett, General Manager, with a few thoughts.
Mercedes-Benz has its standard, and we have Dream Motor Group standards. They're definitely on the same level, but I feel like we challenge ourselves at least as much as Mercedes-Benz challenges us. It's a genuine motivation to take care of customers, and we see it in the customer reviews.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
This week at Target, you'll find different early Black Friday deals. Get fun deals on the latest tech, toys, and video games, plus smart deals on small appliances, floor care, and so much more. At Target, you'll discover different early Black Friday deals each week. And get what you need for the holidays fast with free drive-up or score free shipping when you spend $35 or use your red card at Target.com. Get low prices and early Black Friday deals only at Target. Exclusions apply.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide cleans better than the leading competitive free detergent, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues.
Plus, Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Yo, check this out.
Ah, Pourvu. Imagine a wonderland, vast as the eye can see. We're talking a whopping 10,000 square feet, stocked with wine, spirits, and over 1,500 beers from around the globe. And if that's not enough, they've got you covered with a massive horde of ready-to-guzzle cocktails like High Noon.
Well, saddle up, partner. It's Pourvu, the adult equivalent of a candy store. Open from 9 to 9 Monday through Saturday and from 10 to 6 on Sundays, too. Not leaving your sofa during the next big game? No worries, my jersey-wearing couch potato. You can place your orders at pourvu.us or download their super snazzy app.
Just picture hockey night. He shoots, he scores, we toast.
We're talking about a good old round of tequila shots, of course.
Tequila!
Pourvu has it all. Tequila is always a big hit, just like Uncle Frank at the family parties.
Wine, spirits, beers, mixers, barware, gifts, party supplies, and more.
Curbside pickup at absolutely zero charge, mind you, and home delivery.
Indian Lake Boulevard in Hendersonville, just off Vietnam Vets, exit 7.
Pourvu. It's all Frenchy and fancy, meaning for you.
Score!
West Coast Taco Shop features some of the best California-style Mexican food. And this week, you can try it for half off with Nashville's best deal of the week. Their burritos, nachos, quesadillas, and a variety of tacos are delicious. And once you try this authentic cuisine, you'll become a regular. They also have a salsa bar. And ask about their free .com/deals.
You can always join the show by calling or texting at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Oh, Will Levis. Where do we see Will Levis come off the board?
That'll be interesting.
Here, I'll give you a number. You tell me whether he goes before or after this number, 12.
Dollar bet?
Yeah, what do you want?
I'll take that he goes below 12. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he'll get drafted after the 12th pick.
After the 12th pick. I don't even know if that's a limb.
You're the Steelers. Would you rather have Kenny Pickett going into the 2023 season or Will Levis?
That's a difficult question. I may start leaning towards Kenny Pickett now after watching the Will Levis Pro Day. It's just, can he do off-platform throws? Can he change his arm trajectory? Does it always have to be that compact, tight release? Because you're not going to be able to do that all the time in the NFL. And Levis, as we continue to make excuses for him, didn't have a receiver except a bunch of young kids that maybe eventually be good receivers, but they were growing and learning on the move.
Are you surprised that the Colts could take Will Levis over Anthony Richardson?
I'm not surprised whatever happens in this draft. I wouldn't do it. I'm not personally a big fan of Will Levis, but I've been wrong. Everybody's been wrong. So if they have a conviction, take him. If he, you'll know in 3 years whether he was a bust or he was a great pick.
There you go. That was a collection of Rick Spielman, former NFL general manager with the Vikings, before the draft. Boy, he did not like Will Levis. And I would say, I think I'll take, and I was the biggest Kenny Pickett fan in the preseason there ever was. I'll take Levis over Kenny Pickett after what I saw last Thursday. But keep that context in mind, because I did want to know what Rick Spielman, who naturally did not like Will Levis in the draft process, although he did say he was a first-round pick and that when he didn't go in the first round that he was a great value and all that kind of stuff. But I did wonder what Rick Spielman thought of Levis's performance on Thursday Night Football. On his podcast, the With the First Pick pod, Rick Spielman was asked about Will Levis and evaluating him during the Steeler game. Here's what Rick Spielman said.
The previous game, they just took their shots down the field. This is where some of his struggles came. They tried to make him play quarterback in the pocket and get through progressions. Now, that 2-minute drill or right before the half, he made some incredible throws down the seam on a 7 route or a little corner route, showing his arm talent. There's no question about the kid's arm talent. But then in the fourth quarter, when they were driving down to throw that interception, and they're in the game still, that was a poor decision. But I think with Will, why it was maybe a step back was because they tried to have him do more from the pocket as far as progression and reads than they did in the previous game when, DeAndre Hopkins is double moving and triple moving everybody. It looked like DeAndre Hopkins from 5 years ago. This was not maybe the same game plan. I understand you don't have the same game plan, and you're playing against Pittsburgh Steelers, who have a very good defense, but they also had Micah Fitzpatrick out. So why don't you try to expose some of those safeties that they have on the back end? I'm giving Will Levis a C.
Okay. So he says, I'll give him a C. He would later give Bryce Young, and I didn't watch Bryce Young throw 2 pick sixes last week, but he gave Bryce Young a D for his performance. I mean, the reality with Levis is this. At some point, he's going to have to make better decisions. Like, that's just, and if he doesn't do it right away, then these games will get tougher for him. And like somebody texted in at the start of the show and was like, I want to hear you talk about our stud rookie quarterback. And I'm thinking, hold the phone. I want Will Levis. I told you after they drafted Will Levis that I wanted Will Levis to be the guy that you have the privilege of paying $300 million to. Because Trevor Lawrence is going to sign a big deal. And some of these other quarterbacks are going to sign big deals. Maybe Purdy. These guys will sign some big deals. And the going rate for a franchise quarterback by the time it's up to Will Levis might be $300 million. And so I hope you have the honor of paying somebody top quarterback money. That's no guarantee, but I hope you do. But the problem with Levis is the decision-making. And I go back to something I was talking to TD about where I thought about cutting the sound, but it's too much of like Dan Orlovsky using the telestrator. But he goes through a play before he got drafted. He goes through a play from the Kentucky-Tennessee game last year, where he says Will Levis makes this throw because he is frustrated. And so instead of throwing this, which he could have thrown, it's not a bad throw, but he could have thrown this throw that was open and that throw that's open. But because he was frustrated, he was impatient, and he just threw the ball, where it was much harder to complete than the first one. And as I saw that and I saw the breakdown, I saw certain plays from the Steeler game as Orlovsky was going on the telestrator, breaking down this play from the Kentucky-Tennessee game last year. And what I saw with Orlovsky doing that was I saw the running back leaking out of the backfield and Levis not even thinking about it. And since all 4 receivers were running down the field, there was nobody in the vicinity of the line of scrimmage, so he could have just chucked it down to the running back, and the running back could have turned around and cut it upfield for at least 16 yards before he would have been met by a defender, which is exactly a play that he had against the Steelers when he didn't throw the ball to Tajay Spears underneath on a 3rd and 8. It's a bad decision. Then there was the ball that he threw on the sidelines to DeAndre Hopkins, where he threw it outside the numbers across the field, and it was a little short, and DeAndre had to come back to it, and it could have gotten intercepted. I mean, it probably shouldn't have been intercepted, and I think you could also make the argument that DeAndre Hopkins could have made that catch, but it was a risky throw to throw it all the way across the field in order to get to DeAndre, where Treylon Burks is standing wide open 15 yards in front of him, and all he has to do is just pop it right into Burks, and Burks is going to get a big gain. And again, it's decision-making. And so if Levis doesn't hurry up and get better with the decision-making, if the game does not slow down for him soon, then these games will get harder because these defensive coaches make a lot of money, and they do have the film, and they do watch the film, and they're going to dissect it, and they are going to have something up their sleeve for him. So it's just like other sports, right? In baseball, you get called up from AAA, they throw you a fastball, you hit it out of the park. Next time you come up, they're going to throw you a slider, or they're going to throw you a curveball, or they're going to throw you a changeup. If you hit that, then they'll throw you another pitch. And eventually the league will learn how to pitch you. And then you have to make the adjustment to the league. And then the league's going to and it's just the constant adjustment. That's where Levis is right now. And it starts with the decision-making that has to get better. He knows it. It's nothing that he doesn't hear. It's nothing, honestly, it's nothing that you don't already know now, too. I just want you not to get too caught up in, oh, Jared, look at our stud young quarterback. We're so good. It's early. It's early. They're doing the right thing by playing him. I am excited because he's got a freaking bazooka. He's huge. He's athletic. He's strong. He can throw the ball 80 yards. He's smart. There's a lot to like with Will Levis. But, again, now, I would give him better than a C just because that offensive line was so bad. But it's not an A. And there's a lot of work to be done in order for him to get A's. And we want him to get A's because, again, I want him to be paid $300 million down the road. So that's the step in the development he's got to get going. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, 615-737-1025. If I was making a pros and cons list when it came to Will Levis, I would get very excited. But there is one glaring box. We'll get to that next, and your phones. 615-737-1025. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. You know I love Hiller. I use them at my home. We use Hiller here. Hiller is fantastic. And it is getting colder quickly. What happened to our 78, 79 degree days? Now it's 65 degrees. What's going on? It's getting colder quickly, and a lot of you are probably firing up the heater for the first time this season. If your system is older or having lots of issues keeping your home warm, it is probably time for an HVAC replacement. There's no better time to replace your system than right now. Hiller is having its biggest sale ever on select HVAC systems. Get up to $2,600 off a new system until November 15th. This is the biggest sale they've had in years. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy You'll Be Your Services Free guarantee, and I know that because I use Hiller at my home. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
Every day we are live and local.
You need to give Ryan Tannehill a 2-year extension.
There haven't been too many coaching changes for the Predators. And your source for Nashville sports.
I think that's what the Titans need.
Players who can score. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's back. Family Leisure's Ultimate Game Room Sale is back.
Okay, so what's that mean?
That means huge discounts. Up to 50% off on all kinds of game room furniture and accessories.
Like what?
Up to 50% off on slate pool tables from Brunswick and Legacy Billiards. Prices start as low as $14.99 installed. Plus the matching bars and game tables. Even poker tables to complete our game room are on sale as well. The guaranteed largest selection and lowest prices in the Mid-South.
Wow, perfect for Christmas.
Family Leisure is also featuring huge savings on massage chairs and home theater seating. Full body massage chairs starting at only $9.99. And the top of the line 40 massage chair is more than half off at $29.99.
What about the theater seating?
Family Leisure guarantees to be half off anyone's home theater seating. 3-piece recliner sets start at only $9.99. Full power recline real leather seats are only $19.99.
That's great. And they have stand-up and desktop arcade games with over 600 games, shuffleboards, foosball, and air hockey tables.
It really is the Ultimate Game Room Sale.
The Ultimate Game Room Sale going on now at both locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and last sale of the year is coming. November 17th through 19th. It's an extraordinary event with savings of 20, 30, up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets. Nothing's held back for this once-a-year, 3-day store-wide sale. Acclaimed designers will be flying in with expanded collections and special pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes are also included. Lab-grown diamonds, too. Discounts up to 35%. Genesis Diamond. November 17th through 19th only. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hal Gill here for my good friends at Dunkin'. I get my Dunks every morning. I grew up with Dunkin' in Boston, and it's been my favorite ever since. Fall in love with Dunkin's pumpkin coffee, lattes, muffins, and donuts. Made with their signature high-quality coffee, each sip and bite is sure to delight. Perfect for those cool autumn mornings or as a sweet treat any time of day. You won't be able to resist the delicious pumpkin flavor. Get pumped for pumpkin. Stop by Dunkin' today.
Hey home buyers, TJ Anderson here with More Great Homes. Located just steps from the White Bridge Shopping and Dining District of Nashville's Hillwood neighborhood, 80 Brookwood Terrace offers 2 homes with over 4,300 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, formal office, media room, a 2-car garage, and a 1-year builder warranty. Contact my team today at tjandersonhomes.com for more info. Want your home listing to be seen and heard by home buyers? Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why we are referred by clients so often. TJ Anderson Homes at Benchmark Realty, office number 615-432-2919.
This year, celebrate with your loved ones at Kitchen Notes inside the Omni Nashville Hotel. Enjoy Southern farm-to-table dishes with an elegant touch that is only available from the Omni Nashville Hotel. Start with citrus poached shrimp and cocktail crab claws, then move quickly to the main menu featuring herb roast turkey and smoked prime rib. Plus, indulge in a variety of sides and breakfast items. Enjoy Thanksgiving with your friends and family at Kitchen Notes inside the Omni Nashville Hotel from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. Make your reservation now at opentable.com.
Whether it's college football,
players might end up not going to Alabama or Georgia,
or the NFL.
I think that this team wins the AFC South.
Trevor knows. Join ESPN's Trevor Maddich every Tuesday at 4:30 on Stillman and Company as he gives his opinions on the latest from the gridiron.
I'm going to the team where I can get a ring.
Trevor Maddich brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, where experience matters, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Laura Rutledge from the SEC Network, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Some of the shots that you took, in Pittsburgh, you took shots down the field, but there were times where guys underneath were open. Is it tough to kind of like balance that desire to take that shot, but also what take is given to you?
Yeah, I think sometimes based on a look or what we're trying to get out of the play, you can kind of be locked into a certain route or a certain guy, and going back and watching the tape and seeing a guy pop open somewhere where you weren't really thinking about going to the ball doesn't make you think like, dang, like I should have done this. It really just kind of affects the thought process for maybe the next week, or if we do run a similar concept, where my eyes might want to start that time. So, and also developing trust with guys who we do see continuously win over and over and over again. So, I'm just, trusting my coaching and trusting what I see with my eyes, but definitely miss some things here to there, try to eliminate that.
I wonder who Will Levis is talking about when he says guys who win consistently over and over and over again on this football team. I mean, he can't be talking about Chika Okonkwo or Traylon Burks. And I love Chris Moore and Nick Westbrook-Akine. They're doing their jobs, but over and over and over again, might be a little bit of a stretch there. So here's the thing about Will Levis, though. And I thought that was a really great answer. Like, it was insightful. You see where his thought process is. He doesn't tell you he's not going to take shots. And by the way, he needs to take shots. But when it comes to Will Levis, right, leadership does not concern me. If we were to have a pros and a cons list surrounding Will Levis, I think leadership is a pro. I think the way he's handled himself, now I didn't like him telling the fans to get their attitudes in check when it came to Malik. But as far as the way that he has comported himself since the second he got drafted, with all the talk and all the narratives and everything else that was out there about Levis's personality, I think he's done a pretty good job. Like, I think, he hasn't been heard from. When he was the third-string quarterback, you didn't hear him complaining. You didn't hear anything negative about Will Levis. So I think that was a step in the right direction. So leadership, I'm not worried about. He talked about leading by example. I think there's something to that. I think he has done a good job of getting people to believe in him. He hasn't rubbed anything in anybody's face. I think he's got a good relationship with Tannehill and Willis. Leadership, personality, pro. Okay? Arm strength, pro. I don't think we even need to talk about that one. Brains. Because, again, the reason why teams miss on quarterbacks is because of three reasons. One, bad team doesn't set up the quarterback for success. They get him, they no offensive line or no receivers or constantly changing coaches. That's part of it. Another reason is they didn't properly evaluate whether or not the guy's got it up here in the head or here in the heart. And then the third reason is guy gets injured. So as far as his brains, I think Will Levis is pretty smart. And I think you hear that in his answers. I think you see that in some of the decisions that he makes on the field in terms of, why he did a certain thing or what he learned when he talks about a mistake that he made. And then I do think it's a big deal that he got a 93 on his S2 test. See, the difference between me and you, because everybody is going to crap on the S2 cognition test after the performance that CJ Stroud had. The difference between me and you is that I understand the context behind the reported 18 with CJ Stroud. I know what happened. I know why he got an 18. I know that he didn't finish that test. I know that a team leaked it, and I think a team leaked those scores. And quite frankly, I think it was probably the Titans. But I don't know that for a fact. But I think that they leaked it because they wanted to scare off other teams that did not have access to the S2 test. They wanted to scare them off. So they leaked the scores, including that convenient, incomplete data point for CJ Stroud. So I think the S2 test does matter. And Levis got like a 93 on it reportedly. So brains, check. The only thing that bothers me with Levis is decision-making. And that goes back again to Thursday night, 4 bad throws, 6 bad decisions. What was one of his problems in college? Now look, he was playing with a group of nobodies, and he was hurt, and his coordinator sucked. But what was one of his big problems in college? Decision-making. And now we'll see if Levis can improve on it. Because if Levis can improve on it, then you're going to be left with a good quarterback that turns a football over or a good quarterback that takes too many unnecessary risks. You're going to end up with Jay Cutler if Will Levis does not get better with his decision-making in the games. If he does get better, you've got a potential superstar. 615-737-1025, and our phone lines are, of course, driven by Wilson County Hyundai here on the program. Texter into the text line says, Rick Spielman is dead wrong on Will Levis. I mean, his concerns based off of his pro day were Levis's inability to throw off platform, I didn't evaluate the pro day, but even today, Charles London, the quarterback coach, when he met with the media, was talking about how Will Levis has worked to develop a second pitch, to develop a changeup to go with the fastball. Those are concerns that you have in the draft process, and that's the other thing about the draft. Guys get better after you draft them. That is a real thing. Texter says, why does it always feel like the Titan coaches never have anything for anybody? I'm going to contest that text. I thought Tim Kelly called a great game outside of that stupid run on 3rd and 4. I thought the run on 3rd and 4 was ridiculous. I think they were trying to catch the Steelers by surprise. And for whatever reason, the Steelers were onto it because they didn't even think it might have been a play-action fake. Those safeties sprinted down as soon as the ball went into the hands of Spears. Sean says these games are going to get harder for Will Levis no matter how well he makes decisions. I want to see what he looks like after a few really rough games. Agreed. I like to see a young quarterback get kicked in the teeth, and I like to see how a young quarterback responds after getting kicked in the teeth. Texture says RG3's problem was that he got injured, and they brought him back before he was ready to return. I can't tell you the specifics of RG3's career because I don't remember. Can I just say this, though? I can't stand RG3 on TV. I think he's horrible. I cannot do that. One texter says, we need to give credit to Carthon and Vrabel for their talent evaluation of C.J. Stroud and wanting him as their quarterback. Give them an A for that. Give them an F for executing the work of trying to obtain C.J. Stroud in the draft. I like Levis, but would you rather have Levis or Stroud right now? Levis looks good with potential to be great. However, Stroud looks elite. I would rather have Levis. Stroud missed throws. If you can believe it or not, in that Stroud missed open throws against the Texans. Against the Buccaneers. Stroud had, supposedly, I didn't see it against Carolina. Joe was talking it up because, Joe was big on Bryce Young as an all-in to get Bryce Young guy before the draft. But Joe was talking about how Bryce Young outplayed C.J. Stroud last week, and Stroud had a bad game against Carolina. I didn't see it, so I can't tell you. But I'd rather have Levis than Stroud. For starters, Levis does not have around him what Stroud does. Stroud has a $30 million left tackle. Levis has Andre Dillard. I want you to think about that. Stroud has a $20 million left guard. You've got Skoronski, who you used a high pick on. Stroud's got 4 receivers. Nico Collins, who's really underrated. Tank Dell, a rookie. Robert Woods, who, while he's not great, Robert Woods would probably be the second best receiver on this team behind DeAndre Hopkins. And Noah Brown, who they paid a couple $1 million for from the Cowboys. They've got a starting tight end in Dalton Schultz. Not Chig. They've got a real starting tight end. I would argue that I think Levis is better to me than Stroud. He has the better potential to be great. Stroud has, I would say, the more likelihood of being good, but I think Levis has more potential to be great. I still believe that, and one game's not going to deter my opinion, even though they were talking on TV today about whether or not C.J. Stroud should be an MVP candidate, which is wild to me. One texter says, the S2 cognition test consists of 8 different tests, testing 9 cognitive functions, each of which is graded independently. Its purpose is to measure how quickly and accurately athletes process information. I wonder if this is one of the S2 people. Because I know they live here. I wonder if that's one of the S2 people that's saying, oh, here we go. This is my opportunity to text in and tell everybody about the S2 test.
Never know.
Never know. Boy, I've learned that now. 615-737-1025 is our phone number on the program. All right, we'll take a Titans breather. I got some college football thoughts. I gotta hand it to Tennessee for something that it hit me today. Somebody just texted in and said, stop it. You wanted C.J. Stroud, and now you're a Levis fan. I was never big on C.J. Stroud. I wanted Richardson.
Richardson was the big guy you wanted.
But I don't think I've ever changed my opinion of Will Levis since before the draft to now. I said before the draft that I liked him, and I like him now, and I think he's got a ton of potential, but I think there's a chance it doesn't work out. There is something going on at Tennessee that I have noticed that I do think is worth mentioning and giving credit to. And then there is this wild and crazy Michigan story that just keeps getting more wild and more crazy every day. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3, the pregame show. That's right. The award-winning pregame show, that is live from Twin Peaks in Madison, 9:30 to 11:30 this Sunday. Me, Chris, and Derek will be live at the Twin Peaks in Madison, and our award-winning pregame show is presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and The Beast Unleashed.
Blue Raider football lives on 93.3 Classic Hits.
Hey, it's Big Joe. Join Chip Walters and me as MTSU returns home to Floyd Stadium this Saturday. It's our salute to service as the Blue Raiders take on FIU. Our coverage begins at 2.
Your home for the Blue Raiders is 93.3 Classic Hits.
It's time to celebrate this fall and unleash the beast. Monster Brewing proudly presents to you Beast Unleashed. 0 caffeine, 0 sugar, all the adult beverage fun. The Beast is unleashed with great taste, bold familiar flavors, and 6% alcohol. Go wild with Mean Green, White Haze, Peach Perfect, and Scary Berries. Don't fear the Beast. Enjoy Beast Unleashed at your next tailgate or football party. Drink responsibly. Must be 21 and over.
West Coast Taco Shop features some of the best California-style Mexican food. And this week, you can try it for half off with Nashville's best deal of the week. Their burritos, nachos, quesadillas, and a variety of tacos are delicious. And once you try this authentic cuisine, you'll become a regular. They also have a salsa bar. And ask about their free live music nights. West Coast Taco Shop, Murfreesboro Pike in Nashville. Get half off now at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Green Day present the Saviors Tour. Live in Nashville.
Welcome to
Giannis Park, Friday, August 30th. Celebrating 30 years of Dookie and 20 years of American Idiot. Green Day with the Smashing Pumpkins, Rancid, and the Linda Lindas. Pre-sale for City Card members is available now at livenation.com. Green Day, the Saviors Tour, fueled by Monster Energy.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 102.5 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Get in on the conversation at 615-737-1025. The Game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
Here's something you've never heard before.
Stop. This is Simply Safe.
Introducing 24/7 lifeguard protection, only from Simply Safe Home Security. Now, monitoring agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/radio. Advanced home security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
With your choice of select sandwich, nugs, fries, and a drink, Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag is your go-to. Your nugget wingman. Your hot and crispy fry co-pilot.
Just like us. We're like the bag boys.
What?
Bag boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
For a deal you can count on, bet on Biggie and choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Bag boys.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes choice of JBC or crispy chicken sandwich with 4-piece nugs, junior fry, and small soft drink. Third-party delivery pricing may be higher.
Keeping it local.
The Titans get a big win. Well, Derrick Henry's on the field. It's like, all right, what's going to happen?
And fun.
Bad time to get Florida. They're going to be mad. Oh, my goodness.
Every day, it's Chase McCabe.
I was sitting here going, I think I'm going to watch Batman 1989 tonight.
And Big Joe Dubin.
That's your plan for tonight? Probably, yeah. I need a night.
The Chase and Big Joe Show. Brought to you by Regal Realty Group. Weekdays at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Now, there are two separate things going on here. The NCAA is doing its own investigation. My understanding is that the Big Ten has not initiated its own investigation. It's relying on information it has gathered from the NCAA in part and following other reports that have come out. But the sense is that the Big Ten has enough information to prove that Michigan broke its sportsmanship policy by illegally stealing signs. My sources are telling me that no evidence has come through yet that shows Jim Harbaugh knew about this or orchestrated it, but the Big Ten will point to the NCAA rule that says even if a head coach doesn't know about it, he is responsible for the actions of his staff. Michigan is expected to really push back on this, and they are working with a pricey law firm in D.C. to have some legal action if needed.
Okay, that was a lot from Heather Dinich right there about the latest with Michigan and this sign stealing scandal. And I got to tell you, I can't keep up with this anymore. Every day there's some new story. Did you see the story about Connor Stallions and how he got an HOA letter because he was refurbishing vacuums and leaving them on his front porch, and then he responded to it saying, I am a coach for the Michigan football team, and the reason why my HOA turned me over is because the guy down the street, the nosy a-hole, is a Michigan State fan.
There were some unhappy reviews from Connor Stallions in his vacuum business.
Oh, were there?
Oh, some Amazon people were not happy about his lack of customer service.
Were they not refurbished well?
Oh, very dirty. Dirty. Had hair in them,
Shocker.
Scratches. Oh, yeah.
So, anywho, between all of that and then this whole Connor Stallions rogue agent thing and then his manifesto about Michigan football and then him on the sidelines at a Central Michigan game and then the Big Ten coaches wanting Michigan to be, I think, punished and kicked out of the playoff? And there's a new thing every 5 minutes with this story. Here's the deal. I believe, let me start with those two words so that I don't get sued. I believe that Michigan cheated. I believe that people in power at Michigan knew about it. Even if Harbaugh didn't know, there was a reason why Harbaugh didn't know. And I think that Harbaugh knew they had the signs. And I think they had the signs, and I think it helped them win. And I'm going to tell you, it's all circumstantial, right? For why I feel like not that they cheated, that is known, but it's circumstantial that it helped them win. There is no way to know that they would have beaten Michigan or not beaten Michigan without Connor Stallions' help the last couple of years. But I will just say, C.J. Stroud against Michigan looked like Montel Jordan. Then he played Georgia and is in the NFL, and he looks like Michael Jordan. So I have to believe that part of that's probably because the defense knew what plays were coming. And I think it's obvious. And I think Harbaugh cheated. I think they cheated. And if Harbaugh didn't know, and if Harbaugh is insulated from the cheating, it's only because it was so sophisticated that they wanted to make sure that Harbaugh couldn't get caught, that he couldn't be implicated. I watched a movie over the weekend for the first time. I'm sure many of you have seen it. I'm sure many of you haven't. It's called The Untouchables. And it is the story of Al Capone and Elliot Ness during Prohibition in Chicago in the 1920s. Al Capone, if many of you know, was one of the greatest gangsters, if not the greatest mobster of all time. You want to know how they brought Al Capone down? Tax evasion. In the movie The Untouchables, they kept trying to find the bookkeeper so that they could show the money and the money that Al Capone was making off of his various racketeering enterprises. Which takes me back to Michigan. Surely there's got to be a money trail on all of this, right? Connor Stallions is sending all of these people off to go scout these games with their iPhones and, catching the video and everything else. And so they're paying for all this travel, and they're paying for VIP tickets to the best games, and the coaches knew about it, and the DVDs and everything. Like, surely there's a money trail here. Well, isn't this the same as organized crime? Follow the money. I mean, it makes that much sense to me. So I can't keep up anymore with the daily news updates about what Michigan has or doesn't have. But I'm pretty sure they're guilty. I'm pretty sure my opinion's not going to change. And I guess I'm not like advocating for them to be kicked out of the playoff, but I wouldn't be against it either. Because of what they were doing, it was such a clear violation of the rules. Which takes me to this Tennessee Volunteer opinion that I was having today. You know, this is a big game for Tennessee on Saturday against Missouri. I didn't think going into the season that Tennessee-Missouri would be a big game, but, you know, right now, Tennessee's either the third or fourth best team in the SEC. Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Tennessee are the four best teams. And Missouri's right there, if not 3, 4, or 5, which I'm shocked by because Eli Drinkwitz, the head coach at Missouri, comes off as a freaking stooge ball. But this is a big game on Saturday for Tennessee because the difference between going to the Citrus Bowl or the Gator Bowl or the Duke's Mayo Bowl, I think, is pretty big. But the reason that I say that, the thing that the point I guess I wanted to make in comparison to Michigan, Josh Heupel's been the coach of Tennessee for 3 years. Have you guys noticed how little bullcrap there is around that program? Like the Tennessee program, and I've been on the radio here now for 8 years, and I grew up here. It's always been a freaking clown show.
Too much drama with Butch Jones and his silly slogans, or Pruitt in the McDonald's bags, right?
Or the Schiano Saturday, or Schiano Sunday it is. Like, the athletic director drama, like all the bull crap around Tennessee. And like, it's not so much like, yeah, Butch Jones plays a part in that. And yeah, but like the environment of how volatile the Tennessee fan base can be and how vicious like the third tier media is that kind of runs Knoxville, you know, in terms of message boards and rival sites and things like that. It is very conducive to the clown show. And they don't have any of that. Yeah, they get a guy get arrested here or there. I mean, it's going to happen when you have 100 people. Yeah, they get a guy who transfers who's not happy here, there. Yeah, they get this. But if you notice with Josh Heupel, it's not. I mean, it's not one crazy-ass story after another like it was with all these other coaches. Dooley, and Butch, and Pruitt. I mean, it was always something with those guys. Jeremy Pruitt couldn't even put a mask on over his face. And yet, here we are, third year. Tennessee had a great season last year. They're having a good season this year with no quarterback. And I mean, it is almost a drama-free program. And I think that's very impressive. And it hit me today when I was thinking about Tennessee, Missouri, and how it doesn't feel to me like there's really an extra storyline. Like, I know Drinkowitz has talked a bunch of trash in the past, but there wasn't like an extra storyline to this game other than it's a big game for Tennessee. And it should be a good game on Saturday. And when you're running a program, like when you're doing a sports radio show, tire fires aren't necessarily bad for business. But when you're a coach, you want to run the most boring operation possible. You want it only to be about the game, only to be about the players, only to celebrate the fans. And that's what Josh Heupel has. And it's been 3 years of this non-clown show, which makes me think that he's just going to be a non-clown show coach. And I think that's pretty good. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Mike Vrabel to the Patriots. The Boston Globe says that's what Robert Kraft wants. Charles Robinson tells us what he thinks Mike Vrabel is worth. We will discuss that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Coming on in for Fergie. The Predators' 11-day road trip ends tonight with game number 5 in Winnipeg against the Jets. Puck drop at 7 here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, with Hal Gill and I calling the action. Chase McCabe hosts pregame at 6.
Your home for Smashville is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hose and Belting Specialties in Murfreesboro is your local source for hydraulic, air, water, and chemical hoses, along with conveyor, timing, and metric belt needs. They stock metric fittings for both air and hydraulic applications. Hose and Belting Specialties stocks Parker hydraulic hoses and fittings, Goodyear Conti-Tech industrial hoses, and V-belts, just to name a few of their lines. For any of your industrial needs, call 615-895-HOSE. 615-895-HOSE.
Get ready for a magical holiday experience at Belle Meade Historic Site and Winery. Join us for our free holiday open house Thursday, November 16th from 5 till 8 p.m. Meet Santa and Mrs. Claus, tour our enchanting mansion, and delight in holiday crafts and activities for the whole family. Treat yourself with our renowned wines and bourbon from Belle Meade Winery and savor foods from the Belle Meade Meat and 3. Let's create cherished memories that will last a lifetime at Belle Meade Historic Site and Winery. Only 7 miles from downtown Nashville. Reserve online at visitbelmeade.com.
Hey Nashville, ready for a leap back in time this Veterans Day? Join the Kiwanis Club at Centennial Park for a World War I Remembrance Spectacular. Hear from Kem Hinton, Colonel Stephen Todd, and veteran advocate Jennifer O'Neill. We're gathered at the Mother Monument November 11th, 1 p.m. Experience history with a World War I camp reenactment by the 9th Kentucky Infantry. And yes, there will be food trucks. Honor, remember, and celebrate with us this Saturday, 1 p.m. The Kiwanis Club of Nashville, serving our community since 1916.
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is delivered by Black Tie Moving. The Nashville Predators are wrapping up their road trip tonight in Winnipeg. They'll be looking to rebound from a 4-2 loss to Calgary on Tuesday. Head coach Angel Brunette spoke earlier today about what he wants to see improved for tonight's matchup.
Well, I think our compete could be up a level. I thought our puck battles were probably an all-season low. Didn't generate a whole lot because we didn't have the puck. So I think that's the focus tonight. We need the puck a little more.
Puck drop for Preds versus Jets is set for 7 with pregame at 6 right here on The Game. The Tennessee Titans were back at practice today as they will travel to take on Tampa Bay this weekend. Wide receiver Traylon Burks, quarterback Ryan Tannehill, defensive back Sean Murphy-Bunting, guard Daniel Brunskill, and tackle Nicholas Petit-Ferrer all did not practice today. Linebacker Aziz Al-Shire was limited after missing yesterday. Titans versus Bucks is set for noon on Sunday. In tonight's Thursday Night Football tilt, the Bears are hosting the Panthers. Vanderbilt's women's team plays at UT Martin tonight. Pregame starts at 5:15 over on 94.9 The Fan. And the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders men's team takes on Stephen F. Austin tonight with pregame at 6 on 93.3 Classic Hits. This Game Center update delivered by Black Tie Moving. Use the promo code GAME to score 10% off your next move. From the Game Nashville studios, this is Ian Safar.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air. Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios on what is a wonderful fall afternoon. So Charles Robinson, Yahoo Sports senior NFL insider, was on Robbie and Joe this morning. And Robbie asked him about the Boston Globe story, which many of you are just dismissive of and think, oh, yeah, it's just a rumor, it's just a conjecture, it's just... But again, the story over the weekend, the Boston Globe said that Robert Kraft according to multiple sources close to the Patriots, one of which Joe thinks is Robert Kraft, and the capital J journalist that Joe Rex wrote is, apparently he says that he would not write this story, or that the ethical standards of a publication like the Boston Globe would not generally allow the writer to write that story unless the source was Robert Kraft. They say Robert Kraft wants Mike Vrabel to be the next coach of the New England Patriots. Charles Robinson was on Robbie and Joe this morning. He's a senior insider. He talks to people across the league. Does he believe that Robert Kraft is ready and willing to try to go get Mike Vrabel?
I think there's truth to that. Absolutely. Like, I really think that, and again, I've said this before, I don't have this close personal relationship with Mike Vrabel. I don't. But I can tell you, particularly talking to people in New England and individuals that have come out of New England and ended up working elsewhere, I've had a number of conversations about Belichick and like what's going on there right now and the viability of him not being there next year and another coach. And you get around to the conversations about, well, who would the candidates be? Like, who on earth would want to follow Belichick? And what everyone tells you is like, look, it's a very Robert and Jonathan Kraft driven list, and they would want someone that they have close familiarity with, that they know someone that is connected to that amount of success that they've had under Bill. And Mike's name comes up. I will say this, people in the Patriots program, both inside and out, sure seem to think that Kraft is extremely enamored with Mike Vrabel and that they have a very close relationship.
They're telling you. Of course Kraft wants Mike Vrabel. Well, that's great. And I think there are many of you out there that are saying, okay, well, what are you going to get? We ran a poll over the weekend about how you felt about Mike Vrabel. And I would argue that our poll is very scientific on Twitter. And 45% of you said, absolutely not. We're not trading Mike Vrabel. He's great. 45% of you said, yeah, it's fine. Trade him for the right picks. 10% of you said, fire him. And I think the 45% of you that say trade for the right picks, you're probably right. So Charles Robinson said, when talking about what the value of Mike Vrabel would be if the New England Patriots came calling and offering the job, Charles Robinson said this would be where he would start in terms of valuing Mike Vrabel.
I'm telling you, I think you start the conversation with at least 2 first-round picks on the table. I think that's how valuable Mike Vrabel is. He's a guy I think a lot of teams would consider, firing their current head coaches for.
Okay. So apparently there's a huge market for Mike Vrabel. And when there's a huge market, there's 2 things at play here. Number one, when there's a huge market for the guy, then that means that you're going to have to bid higher. Now, I don't know how Vrabel feels about the Titans. TD was in studio earlier today, and TD said the idea that there's a power struggle between Vrabel and Rand Carthon is totally overblown. It's not the case. It's not true. They are fine. They work together every day. It's a true collaboration, and TD's probably right. But that doesn't mean that we can't talk about what the value would be, or that Vrabel would rather collaborate with somebody else, or that Vrabel would rather work for another owner that might have deeper pockets, or that Vrabel rather go the place that Vrabel was before. I mean, all of those are possible. So when he says it starts at 2 first-round picks and that there are other teams around the league that would fire their coach in order to get into the Mike Vrabel sweepstakes, I kind of get intrigued about the idea of what could be. I mean, at what point is a coach too valuable? Kevin Byard was a good leader for this football team. Kevin Byard was a solid tackler for this football team. Quite frankly, Kevin Byard probably helps you win last Thursday night against the Steelers. It's not a guarantee because every game basically has been the same on the road anyways, and that's with Byard or without Byard, with Tannehill or without Tannehill, with Levis or with Malik playing in relief. Like, it's kind of been the same, but you don't know. But there was value to Byard on this football team. Just not 5th and 6th round pick level of value. So what's the value of a coach? What's the value of a great coach? Sean Payton was a first and a second with a third going back. But he was already done with the Saints. And Sean Payton thought he was going to have this giant list of suitors. And yet nobody really wanted him. He thought the Cowboys, the Chargers, or the Dolphins would be 3 spots he'd be interested in. All 3 made the playoffs last year. All 3 kept their coaches. So they were out. Then Sean Payton didn't want the Bronco job. He didn't want to be stuck with Russell Wilson. He interviewed for the other jobs. He wanted the Texan job. But they didn't want him. The Broncos didn't want him either. They wanted DeMeco Ryans. They couldn't get him. They wanted Jim Harbaugh. They couldn't get him. So finally, they decided to marry because nobody else wanted to be with the Broncos or Sean Payton. And they still had to give up a first-round pick. So if Charles Robinson is telling us that compensation for Mike Vrabel starts at 2 first-round picks, like, what is the value of the coach? Is the coach that important? Like, you can't go get another coach? Every time a coach and a quarterback get into it, I say every time, but I guess Brady didn't win out with Belichick. Almost every time, Ian, that a coach and a quarterback get into it, who usually loses the battle?
Well, the quarterback gets more money, so coach usually loses.
Coach loses. Dan Reeves and John Elway. Goodbye, Dan. That's how the NFL works. So when it comes to Vrabel, I'm looking at my team right now, and I agree with the Titans that I think they need more draft capital. Now, I think they need more draft capital for 2 reasons. One, I think they need more draft capital so that they can make trades now to go get players, but also more draft capital for picks for guys that can develop into really good players. 2 first-round picks wouldn't be enough for you? 2 first-round picks. Let's just say it's 2 straight up with the Patriots. Let's say Robert Kraft wants Mike Vrabel that bad that he'd be willing to give you his first-round pick this year and his first-round pick next year. So now, if the season ended today, you're picking 5th and you're picking 10th. You don't think that's worth it? You wouldn't be thinking about, with that 5th pick, with probably 4 quarterbacks that'll go in the first round, maybe 5, you don't think that 5th pick's really important? Williams and May are going 1 and 2. Then I guess Harrison Jr. is probably going 3, according to all the gurus. So now that means that the 2nd or 3rd best non-quarterback or the 3rd best quarterback is on the board with the 5th pick. And you'd be sitting there and you wouldn't do that? Because Vrabel's too valuable? I mean, I think there's a lot of layers to this. And the first layer is the rumor true? The answer, according to everybody, is yes. Then the second thing has to be, does Vrabel want the job? We don't know if Vrabel wants to be the coach of the Patriots. Then, if the answer to that is yes, the question has to be, do you want to trade Vrabel? To that, I would say, what's the price? And if the answer is 2 first-round picks, I don't know why you would say no to that. I value stability. And I think Vrabel's a good coach. And I do value the realization that every year about 5 or 6 coaches are fired, which means 5 or 6 coaches are hired. And of those 5 or 6, usually at least 4 of them are freaking doofuses, like Matt Eberflus of the Bears. But I also value first-round picks. I also value an offensive coach for a young quarterback. The first-round picks that can help me build my offensive line and receivers, I value that. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones on this. 615-737-1025. So Pat Kerwin, who I have a ton of respect for, is a longtime football guy. And Pat Kerwin has has a breakdown of how this draft's about to shake out. First of all, it's probably a good thing that the Titans were able to draft Will Levis in hindsight. But it also means that your draft status could be wildly important. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Blue Raider fans, your home for all the MTSU football and men's basketball action is on 93.3 Classic Hits and 95.1 Classic Hits in the borough. Catch the action all season long with Chip Walters on the call. Go Blue Raiders!
Need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt-free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit can get you $20, $50, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Willie Donick here. Listen up. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help turn that equity into cash to put it to use. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards or pay off personal loans. Start the home improvement project you've been looking for. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact, so your 3% rate is protected. Call right now, 615-499-5780. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards. 615-499-5780 or go online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
People of all ages can experience spine pain. What hurts the most is what it does to your life, making simple activities feel like an uphill battle. Houston Clinic Orthopedics and their team of specialists aim to get you back to your active and enjoyable life. Let Houston Clinic Orthopedics bring lasting relief if you're suffering from any of the following: spinal stenosis, herniated discs, sciatica, degenerative disc disease, and more. To experience world-class orthopedic care, visit tn.houston.com, where experience matters.
Drowning in IRS debt? If you can't afford to pay your IRS debt due to economic hardship, you can now be free of IRS collection efforts by taking advantage of a special IRS tax hardship program. This program allows Americans who owe the IRS to resolve their delinquent tax debt once and for all. In some cases, maybe even reducing what you owe significantly. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Simply dial 800-242-5945. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back or have years of unfiled tax returns, help is standing by. Just call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-242-5945 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-242-5945 to see if you qualify. That's 800-242-5945.
Check us out on X. Follow us at 1025 The Game, and I'm at Jared Stillman.
This is Stillman and Company on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
If Robert Kraft were to call Amy Adams Strunk and say, hey, I want to give you, knock your socks off with an offer here from Mike Vrabel, this should ring an alarm bell for Amy Adams Strunk, who should say to herself, I would think, would say to herself, here's the best owner of the current generation in terms of success. He's consistently in the Hall of Fame conversation. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. And he wants my coach for a high-value pick. Maybe that means this guy's super valuable.
Yeah.
He needs a quarterback, and he's potentially giving me the pick he could get the quarterback with for my coach. I ought to step back and consider what that means about the value of my coach.
Paul Kaharski says no interest in trading the most valuable asset you have outside of your young quarterback if Robert Kraft wants him, because Robert Kraft is so smart that him calling you should be an alarm that your valuable coach is so good you shouldn't trade him. I'm sorry, how good is Robert Kraft's team right now? How good was Robert Kraft's team last year, the year before that, the year before that? I mean, we're talking about the same Patriots that are 2-7, right? Just lost at home to the Commanders. The Commanders have given up on their season, and they lost at home to them. But oh no, if Robert Kraft's on the phone, hang up so you don't get fleeced. Crazy talk. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Robert in Spring Hill says, Mike Vrabel to the Patriots, can you imagine him with the Boston media? He would lose his mind. He can barely handle the Nashville media. Well, you got to remember a couple things. First of all, Vrabel is a veteran of the Boston media. You know, that is something that Vrabel has already experienced. He knows them. They know him. I'm not saying that, it would be just a love affair. It would be at first for them to him because the way they talk about him is embarrassing. But I also would argue that Vrabel knows what he's getting into. But if they don't win, it would be pretty insufferable. And they do not take kindly to that up there at all. Although it is kind of like here. I was listening to some of it in Boston over the week, and they were talking about how Bill's a total a-hole to the media, and the fans are calling in like, yeah, I can't believe, that Bill's going to go out there and stick the middle finger to the media because that's like the conduit to the fans, and how dare they do that, and I just can't believe that. And the hosts were even laughing because they were thinking about the fact that for years, the Boston fans, when they were good, the Boston fans were like, yeah, Bill, you show the media. But now that they're bad, it's like, how dare Bill do that? And I will tell you, I cannot, your text messages when Vrabel acts like a total a-hole, when they lose, it's, I'm sick of Vrabel's attitude. When they win, it's go, Mike, go. So maybe it is kind of the same, honestly. Alex from Clarksville says, give me 2 first-rounders and I'll throw in Craig Aukerman for free. I'll just say this. I heard something last night at the CMA Awards, and I can't tell you what it is. But what I heard last night about Craig Aukerman, I mean, he might just be the best special teams coach in the NFL, and we just don't know it.
Doing a great job with Nick Folk and Stonehouse this year.
Doing a bad job with everything else, but I mean, they got called on their first kickoff return last week of an illegal double team block.
Yeah, that was not good.
I mean, every game it's something. But I guess he's apparently incredible from what I heard last night.
It's a kicker whisperer.
By the way, I was thinking about this today. This is a total aside. But 4 years ago, I went to the CMA Awards, and 4 years ago, I was younger. I was 30 at the time. And I went to the CMA Awards, and we had a Thursday show that was like at some warehouse that was having this like massive sports apparel sale. And so it was way the hell out, like an hour away. So we're doing the Jared and the GM show, and I stayed out until like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock the night before. And I mean, I remember just looking up at the clock that day, and it was like 3:42. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make this till 6 o'clock. That was the day that Myles Garrett took the helmet off and hit the guy in the head with it. And I was just comparing that with last night where I didn't even stay for the entire thing at the CMA Awards because, getting late towards bedtime. And just life comes at you fast, folks. I used to be the big-time partier, staying out late, partying all night. Now I'm like, if we leave now, we beat the crowd. Life comes at you fast. Anywho, there is apparently Craig Aukerman's a very popular guy around the NFL, which is amazing to me. Texture says Vrabel would never go to the Patriots if they gave up 2 years of first-round picks because the cupboard is already bare. He knows he would need talent there, too. Day 2 picks are the only realistic scenario for both sides. If it's day 2 picks, I'm not interested in talking. I am not interested in talking in just day 2 picks. Now, I have told you what I would be willing to do, which is a pick swap. So right now, the Patriots have the 5th overall pick in the draft. You have the 10th overall pick in the draft. I would be willing to swap. So you go to 5 and they go to 10. Then they give you their 2nd round pick in this year's draft and their 1st round pick in next year's draft. So they still have a 1st and they have a 2nd next year, but you're getting what is essentially 2 1st round picks because the value of the high 2nd plus the swap from 10 to 5 equals roughly the 17th or 18th pick in the draft. Texter says, how much say does Vrabel have in these proposed trades? Would he be able to veto any of these deals? That's a really good question that I am not totally sure of. So I don't think Vrabel's like a player, right? I don't think you can just trade Vrabel, and if he doesn't like it, he has to suck it up and deal with it. I don't think you can do that. I think Vrabel has to want to go wherever it is that you want to trade him. But I don't know that for a fact. And I don't even know if there's like a collective bargaining agreement for coaches. I don't think there is, but I just think there's like league rules and guidelines and everything else. Texter said, if I had $1 for every time I heard you say something that you can't tell, I'd be rich. Every time you ask Ian if you can say it, and then you say no. Normally, I ask Ian if I can say it, and then I say it. I didn't even ask Ian if I could say this. I know I can't say it. I am going to give a hint, though. As soon as I heard it last night, I texted Robbie, Joe, and Caroline and told them what I had heard. And boy, a good time was had by all in the text chat. Give you any hint?
Not really.
Okay. This guy's sitting here talking like every time I run it by you, can I tell? Can I tell? And then I don't. That's not true. Normally I say, Ian, should I tell? And then I do tell. Most of the time.
Usually you're looking for me to like give you a reason to spill the beans.
Yeah, last time I was told, like not by you, but I was told like, yeah, you can't do that. Texter says you're in trouble when your dad out-parties you. My dad does not out-party me, but I mean, I definitely, it's not the same partying it was 4 years ago. I'll tell you that much right now. Texter says, enough with the Vrabel Boston Globe story. Let's talk about now. That comes from Jeremy P. in Mount Juliet, who says they love the show. Jeremy, what are we supposed to talk about? The Titans are a below-average football team that has turned it over to a rookie quarterback. They are playing the Buccaneers, who are a below-average quarterback, or a below-average football team who should have drafted the rookie quarterback that you drafted in the second round. They should have drafted him in the first round, and they're stupid with those receivers for having not done that. What do you want to talk about with this Tampa Bay game? Like, what is there with the Tampa Bay game that is just so pressing that we need to talk about? Like, even if you win the Tampa Bay game, the story will be about Levis. Did Levis play well? Did Levis not play well? That's the story. And with this, we're talking about one of the most reputable papers in America talking about another team wanting your coach, and now the scuttlebutt is not, is that true? Oh, no, that's not true. The story is now, how much could you get? I mean, first of all, here's the other thing that's just driving me freaking bananas. I have everybody lecturing me, finger-wagging about how I have to suck up the fact that the Titans traded a good player for a 5th and a 6th round pick, when I know 5th and 6th round picks are usually Scarbini players, and it's like they needed those 5th and 6th round picks, Jared. And so here we are talking about 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a first-round pick, a pick swap and a first-round pick, and we're talking about all like massive ways for you to rebuild your team. And it's like, oh no, we can't trade the coach. I thought this was a business. What happened to this is a business? You guys always, oh no, this is a business. We can't keep Kevin Byard. It's like, dude, those are real picks. Like, those are real picks we're talking about. Texture says, as much as Vrabel drives me crazy that he keeps info close to the cuff, he's a player's coach. He's shown he can develop the next guy up. I don't know. Have you looked at your offensive line? He's shown that he can develop the next guy up, especially defense. Your defense sucks. Different story for a different day. It's been a rough year, but I'm okay with some of the lows when I've seen some of the highs. I'm not against keeping him. I'm not against trading him if you get a haul and have another coach lined up. Agreed. Again, like, I'm not giving Vrabel away for free. I'm giving Vrabel away for high value. And then I'm going to hire an offensive coach with the tight pants and the latte and a guy that doesn't have to stay in the office until 4 a.m. to show up at 4:30 a.m. because he's farming out the other half of the ball to somebody else. And that's how it should be in the NFL. I mean, I used to not like offensive coaches, just like I used to party more. I used to not like offensive coaches. And now I am totally in favor of the next Skippy Magoo off the Shanahan tree that Rand Carthon knows can be a coach that says, hey, let's run this play, and all of a sudden you diagnose a play and a wide receiver's wide open and you chuck him the ball. I don't understand this. Texter says Robert Kraft has a much better track record than I do. I mean, doing what? Last time I checked, me picking teams, me picking games, I'm like 500, Ian, right?
I haven't tallied up from last week yet, but yeah, I think you are right around 500. Maybe
About
one
500.
game or 2 games over.
How's Kraft's team?
I think they're 2-7.
Yeah, they suck. So, come on now. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. One texter says, look at what the Jets did with their 2 first-round picks last year. What was that, Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson?
Sounds right.
I mean, here's what I don't get. You know what's crazy? Remember how good everybody told us that Ike Ekwonu was going to be, that Carolina took in the first round, and people were saying he could be the number 1 overall pick, the left tackle out of NC State? Apparently, he's horrible, which is wild to me because they talked about him like he was Orlando Pace, like that he was going to be drafted at the top of the draft and go right to the Hall of Fame. And apparently, he's awful. So, I don't know. Offensive line is weird in today's era. It's like either guys get drafted and they start right away and they're good players from day one, or it takes 3 years to develop an offensive lineman in the NFL because they're not allowed to practice anymore. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025. Let's talk about ye old White Bison. That's right. White Bison is your local coffee shop with food featuring fresh-made premium breakfast, lunch, and snack options. Tomorrow morning, get a fresh-made breakfast sandwich featuring turkey sausage on an English muffin, or an avocado bagel, or sausage, egg, and cheese on a toasty ciabatta roll. Order ahead and save time with the twice daily White Bison mobile app. Boy, that's great for tomorrow morning. When you're looking to complement your day with an iced or blended coffee near you, White Bison is the place to go. White Bison coffee, hot drinks, iced and blended drinks, teas, smoothies, and more. Finally crafted for you every day. And if you need something a little different, switch it up with a thoughtfully considered selection of refreshing tea or smoothie options, perfect for any weather. Order ahead and get rewards. Download the app to order ahead and earn those rewards and get 1 free coffee every time you buy 7, part of White Bison's rewards. Buy 7, get 1 free twice daily, fresh all day.
All the big plays.
And we are done. Vandy 24-21.
All the big stories.
I'm sure Vandy will be a much better team if Clark Lee is the coach.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
What a stop by UC Sarah.
Then he wouldn't end up on my team.
Driving his way to victory lane.
I think that's the right strategy.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Attention all fire protection, commercial plumbing, and HVAC experts. Jarrett Companies are looking for experienced field technicians like you. Tired of working for your large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett's Fire Protection, commercial plumbing, and HVAC divisions are owned and operated by Nashville natives who want you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition, addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we'll also provide you with top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and our business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to JarrettCompaniesInc.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT CompaniesInc.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
When Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal, and it's happening. November 17th through 19th, our final store-wide sale of the year with deep discounts up to 35% off. This is the big one, the one where they break all the rules. Plus, Genesis selection is nearly double, with designers flying in their entire collections, all on sale. This is the last and best jewelry buying opportunity of the year. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes included. Lab-grown diamonds on sale too. Save up to 35% and get zero interest financing. November 17th through 19th at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. It's getting colder quickly, and a lot of you are probably firing up the heater for the first time this season. If your system is older or having lots of issues keeping your home warm already, it's probably time for an HVAC replacement. There's no better time to replace your system than right now. Hiller is having their biggest sale ever on select HVAC systems. Get up to $2,600 off a new system until November 15th. This is the biggest discount they've had in years. That's Hiller. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit Coleman Tractor, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House today.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
No problem, sweetie.
I can't believe you're able to fit everything in that little sedan.
Bye!
When they move out, you can move on to a house that fits your life. It's time to live in a space that fits your family.
Let Regal Realty Group get you into a home that is less to take care of. Save money or even make money on the sale of your current home. Get more info at regalrg.com.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Join Robbie and Rexroad for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The Choice is Yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Nashville, Trey Wingo here. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Predators in Winnipeg tonight. Boy, I was not happy about that game the other night, and to discuss it and to work me through my anger is one Hal Gill, who is up in Winnipeg inside the broadcast booth. Hal Gill is presented by Duncan. Okay, Hal, let's start with what happened the other night. The Predators did not play particularly well in the first period, but they scored 2 goals to go up 2-0. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, all right, they lost the first 2 games on the road trip, but then they showed the chutzpah to stick it to Edmonton the other night on Saturday. And then they're up 2-0. And I got to tell you, I just felt like they went to crap from there. What happened?
Yeah, well, I don't think they really had a great game anyway. That first period, they were lucky. If it wasn't for Juice, they were not getting away with anything other than being down. I mean, given the 2 goals, they worked hard for those. But yeah, without Juice, that game could have been, 4-2 after the first period, and they could have been down. And so, the thing is they stuck around and they hung in that game and they had a chance to win it. And that's when I think, especially on the road, I think these young group of guys, they need to go through those experiences and I was really hoping they'd get some confidence from that in closing that one down. Even though they shouldn't be up and they shouldn't have gotten that win, I think they had a chance to sneak one out. And it's been the other way. They've had games where I think they played well that they didn't get rewarded for it. So, it is what it is, and you gotta learn from it and try to be better next time.
What can they learn?
Well, I just think you can't take any teams for granted. You look around and, San Jose just beat Philadelphia, and they're going up against Edmonton tonight. The league is tough, and I think they maybe beat Edmonton, felt pretty good about themselves, and came out. And against Calgary, who hasn't been playing all that well, they went out and they kind of threw a stinker out there. They didn't have the energy. They were too lax defensively, and it showed. They ended up, staying in the game, but they shouldn't have been. They shouldn't have been in that game. And I think you got to learn that, especially young players, you got to compete every night. It's hard. It's hard enough to get into the NHL. It's really hard to stay, and that's what you have to develop consistency and make sure you're bringing it every night.
Hal Gill is our guest, presented by Duncan. By the way, Saturday night, 7:00, before they drop the puck, they will honor Ryan O'Reilly for his 1,000th game. They would like people to know to be there by 7:00. So let me just stick that one in there. Hal, I'm getting nervous that this team's not going to make the playoffs. Now, I use U.S. Thanksgiving as kind of the line of demarcation. I had somebody say to me yesterday that they would use Christmas instead of U.S. Thanksgiving. I mean, again, the rule I know is U.S. Thanksgiving. I don't necessarily care big picture about, how good this team is this year, because I know that when a team decides to rebuild, it's like, look, we're going to take a step back. Barry Trotz said that. We're going to take a step back. But that doesn't mean that this team doesn't have pieces that are good enough to make the playoffs. The problem is some of the veteran guys on defense haven't been playing very well. And they haven't, Forsberg hasn't been scoring enough goals, though he had a really nice one the other night. And I just wonder, could this slow start, could this sink a team that is capable of making the playoffs?
I don't know. I think, first of all, I think you're looking at what you have to have one timeline, but I think you really look at a 10-game segment, and then you look at Thanksgiving, and then you look at Christmas, and you look at all those, the All-Star break, and there's certain periods of the year that you kind of reassess your team and reassess your players. But I think with this team, you know what you're going to get from Ryan O'Reilly. You know what you're going to get. And I feel like, for the most part, they've been there. Yossi hasn't been, rewarded with as many points as I think he probably deserves, but he's been there. These guys have been there. O'Reilly has been consistent and doing it every night. The question for me would be the younger guys. You're constantly reassessing, and it looks like Novak is for real. This kid can play, and he's showing it on a pretty consistent basis. Evangelista seems to be coming around. I think he's got more to give, and there's another level, but that's just because he's young. But then you look at, Tomasino has been in and out of the lineup. He's going to get back in tonight. Parsonen, it has some games that are good and then some games that are bad. And you got to gauge those, and you got to try to develop that. So if you're looking at playoff projections right now, I think you have a lot more to concern yourself with if you're Barry Trotz and Andrew Brunette is where are these guys and how do we develop these guys so that you're developing a group of players that are ready, and maybe not this year, but for years to come. There's a bunch of young guys that you want to track the right way. So I think, for me, 10 games, this is where you're at. The next 10 games brings you to Thanksgiving. You need to be where you need to be, and you're tracking that way with individuals, as not as much as the team, because I feel like I said, the team has deserved some more points than they've gotten, but they've had some bad games. And so I think you expect that, but you have to try to get to the root of the problem and why they're doing that.
What do they have to do, Hal, to get Philip Forsberg hot? Because right now, I'm just looking at it, the Predators are, a couple of points out of a playoff spot, and they're 3 points out of a playoff spot, and they play two teams ahead of them, Winnipeg tonight, and they play Arizona over the weekend, and I certainly don't think Arizona is a great team. But the Predators have a goal differential of -2, which means that every game they play in is a close game one way or another, or either they're losing 5-0 and then winning 5-0, and we know that's not the case. So when a guy like Forsberg gets hot, he's capable of carrying the entire team, especially the close games they're playing right now. He's not hot at all. How do they get him hot? Because we know he's, Barry Trotz came on the show the other day and said he thinks he's a 40-goal scorer every year. So what can they do to get that out of him? Because Last year, after signing the contract, was kind of disappointing, and so far this year, couple of goals.
Yeah, well, if you look at the shot chart, I mean, he was on pace for over 400 shots coming out of the first 5-6 games. He was shooting everything, and you're going, okay, something's got to go in. It just was – he was getting the looks, and so that was really encouraging. And then, now I feel like he's playing some good hockey, not great, but good. And he's playing really well with Ryan O'Reilly, and O'Reilly gets a hat trick the other night, and Phil is a big part of that. And so I think there's good things that Phil is doing. I just think he's a little bit snake bit without and I think if you don't get rewarded because you're shooting a ton, sometimes you think, okay, now I got to pass more, and I think he's done that, and now he's got to get back to shooting more. And I think it's a balance between I want to make plays and I want to just go down the wing and let it rip. And so I think Phil is kind of balancing that, and I don't think it's far off. I think if he gets his sights set on his wrister, then he's going to be shooting, and a lot of them are going to be going in. So he's got to stick with. I hate when coaches used to say this, but stick with the process. he's got to battle it out and keep doing what he's doing, because I think he's doing a lot of good things. I just think team-wise, don't forget they're playing against the best players every night. And, there's a drop-off between that top line, and I think Novak's line has been good. But, you can play heavy against the top two lines for the Preds right now because they're not getting that secondary push that I think they're looking for from the younger guys. So, I'm not worried about Phil. I think he's just got to keep playing his game and shooting, and it's going to come around.
Are you worried about Tomasino?
I do worry about young players. I think it's tough. You're down when you don't get out. You have to sit out a game and watch it from the press box. That stinks. But you try to learn from it. You practice a little harder. You go out, and then you try to play a faster game. They want them playing with more pace. They want them playing with a little more jam and winning more battles. But it's tough when you're not into a rhythm where you're playing every night, but you also – it's the old catch-22, confidence to play well, and you get confidence. And I think he's stuck in the middle right now. So this is a big game for him. I think, if I'm looking at segments in this season, at the end of a road trip, this is an end of a segment, in my opinion. And where are you at the end? When we get back home, where are you in your game, and where do you need to be better? And I think he can prove a lot of people that he deserves to be in the lineup if he goes out there and has a big game tonight. But that's a tough ask against a tough team in Winnipeg.
Hal Gill is a Boston guy. He is presented by Duncan, a fine Boston shop.
Get your dunks? Did you get your dunks, Jared?
I did not. But here's my Boston question for you, Harold. The Boston Globe has reported that two separate sources say Robert Kraft's dream hire to replace Bill Belichick is Mike Vrabel. What do you think?
Well, I don't know what you want me to do with that.
Well, do you want Mike Vrabel to coach the Patriots?
I'm a big Vrabel fan, but he's I'm a Titans fan.
Are you a Titans fan?
I am. Yep.
Okay.
And in large part because of Mike Vrabel, I'll give you that. I mean, I told you we've already discussed this. Vrabel's my guy. He was the one I was watching when I was cheering for the Pats and all the success they had. He was part of that, and I'm excited that he's.
Do you guys rip heaters together
here in Tennessee? What's that?
I said, do you guys rip heaters together?
Rip heaters, Jared? Are you trying to be cool?
No, I just know that
adorable.
Vrabel is very. First of all,
so cute.
I'm not one of those types to rip a heater to be cool because I am not cool, and because I find smoking to be disgusting. But
yeah, I'm with you.
Vrabel is well known for his Marlboro Lights, I think. And I was just wondering if you guys were ripping some heaters back in the day. We
do not rip heaters together. We don't hang out together. We don't hang.
You're a Mike Vrabel guy.
I admire what he does.
There you go. Hal Gill will be on the call with Max. I can hear. Is that Max chuckling in the background? By the way.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Are you guys excited?
It's been
to get
a long
home?
road trip. I might be maxed out, but I'm going to fight
I was
through
gonna
it
say,
one more
are you
game.
excited to get home, or do you and Max need more time together?
I can't keep up with this little fella. He's been buzzing this whole trip.
There you go.
There's an energy overload with this kid. He just loves it, and it's infectious.
Once again,
he gets me
7
going. He's
o'clock.
going to get me going tonight. It's going to be a big one.
There you go. And by the way, I expect the Predators to win tonight. I expect them to win Saturday, and then after that, we can talk about what happens then. But be in the seats by 7 o'clock Saturday for the Ryan O'Reilly celebration. Hal, great stuff presented by Duncan. We'll talk soon. All
right, J-Dog.
Hey, there you go. Hal Gill joining us on the program. Predators Game Day's next. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Vanderbilt in South Carolina from Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia. Kickoff at 11 a.m. Our coverage starts at 9:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hal Gill here for my good friends at Dunkin'. I get my Dunks every morning. I grew up with Dunkin' in Boston, and it's been my favorite ever since. Fall in love with Dunkin's pumpkin coffee, lattes, muffins, and donuts. Made with their signature high-quality coffee, each sip and bite is sure to delight. Perfect for those cool autumn mornings or as a sweet treat any time of day. You won't be able to resist the delicious pumpkin flavor. Get pumped for pumpkin. Stop by Dunkin' today.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Regular season hoops are heating up. The NBA's inaugural in-season tournament is tipping with group play across the country. Catch the action Tuesdays and Fridays all month long at the #1 sports bar.
Need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit could get you $20, $50, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Willie Donick here. Listen up. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help turn that equity into cash to put it to use. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards or pay off personal loans. Start the home improvement project you've been looking for. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact, so your 3% rate is protected. Call right now, 615-499-5780. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards. 615-499-5780 or go online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Now you can get a Walmart Plus membership, plus not pay for it, because it's included with Straight Talk wireless plans. You get free delivery with Walmart Plus, plus a Paramount Plus subscription included. Plus, you pay less for gas. That's a lot of pluses.
Only Straight Talk gives you unlimited 5G data and Walmart Plus included on select plans for free.
Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Requires service on Gold or Platinum Unlimited. One offer per eligible account. Paramount Plus Essential Plan only. Separate registration required. Additional terms apply.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
You would trade for the third pick? Yeah, I don't know that I would do that.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode.
I'm here for the discussion. I'm not. It's a good one. It's absurd.
Robbie and Rexrode, mornings from 6 to 9.
Win the games. When they get in the playoff, they'll have a chance to.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. It's hockey night in Smashville.
Walk over to Yossi. His one-timer, he scores!
Bringing you the keys to victory and the latest storylines surrounding the Nashville Predators. This is Predators Game Day, brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Now on Stillman and Company.
That's right. Predators Game Day is presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Get your home seen, heard, and sold with TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty online at tjandersonhomes.com. TJ's my realtor. He'll take great care of you. The Predators are on the road tonight at the Winnipeg Jets. The Predators are 5-7-0. The Jets are 6-4-2. And this game will take place at the Canada Life Centre tonight at 8 o'clock, which means the pregame starts at 7 right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. The Predators are coming off the loss 4-2 the other night at Calgary, one that I was very, very disappointed with because the Predators did not play well in the first period, but they got up 2-0. And so the way I feel when a team doesn't play well in the first period and they get up 2-0 is, okay, well, we realize that we skirted by with that. So now that we've got a 2-0 lead, let's not lose this game against this bad team. And they were up 2-0, and as again, you know, they lost 4-2. So I'm not very happy with that. But what's very important is the fact that the Predators, again, U.S. Thanksgiving is the line of demarcation. If you are in the playoffs at U.S. Thanksgiving, the odds are in your favor that you will be in the playoffs for the season. If you are not, same thing. And tonight, Winnipeg is the third team in the Central Division. The Central Division's not very good. So they're the third team in the Central Division, and they've got 14 points. You've got 10. Arizona, who you play Saturday, is ahead of you and in the wild card. So you win these two games, you're in good shape heading towards U.S. Thanksgiving. With that, we start with the coach's take with Andrew Brunette as we wonder, can you give a little bit better effort than that sluggish performance on Tuesday night at Calgary?
Well, I think our compete could be up a level. I thought our puck battles were probably an all-season low. Didn't generate a whole lot because we didn't have the puck. So I think that's the focus tonight. We need the puck a little more. Okay.
So he's basically saying, you know what, we got to turn it up a notch, which I agree with significantly. Now, Winnipeg's not the same Winnipeg from 5 years ago in the playoffs when it was a very fierce rivalry. But I will say they probably do have some better players, including Kyle Connor, who's got 8 goals, who is kind of on the edge of big boy forward dumb. Also, I should note, and I know I already said this, but again, on Saturday, the Predators want everybody in the building at 7 o'clock in their seats as they honor Ryan O'Reilly for playing 1,000 games. Ryan O'Reilly, by the way, leads the team with 7 goals. And I'm just going to say this as far as the Predators are concerned. Right now, this is, still the early part of the season, and I don't care if they make the playoffs and they get beat, and I don't look at the Predators, and I don't think that they're a cup contender or that, they're masquerading as something they're not. They told us what they were going to be. This is going to be a process. For every young guy that's good, like Tommy Novak, there's going to be a couple guys that we hoped would be good that are not. Philip Tomasino may be on his last chance before they get home and send him to Milwaukee tonight. Like, it is maybe his last chance. They get home from this long road trip before they play Arizona Saturday night. And it's like, dude, you got to go down to Milwaukee to get your confidence back or at least get some regular ice time. But I do think it's important for this young team to be playing incredibly meaningful games all year long. And they're not falling out of the race or anything like that, but it would be nice for them to get, some positive momentum headed in that direction as they try to put something together this year that keeps us entertained in February, March, and then for a little bit of April. And that's all I ask for. So tonight, once again, the Canada Life Center at 8 o'clock, the Preds and the Jets, and then the Predators are home for their game on Saturday against Arizona. And again, they want everybody in their seats at 7 o'clock. And Hal says, don't be worried, but deep down inside, I'm a little worried. That's going to do it for us. We are out of here on Stillman and Company. Again, the pregame show starts at 7 o'clock, and the puck drop at 8 o'clock. Max Hers is in for Pete for that, of course, with Hal. Stillman and Company. We'll see you tomorrow, too.